avec cher professeur Hamid Bouchéri. Alors c'est un vieil ami de StartUP Maroc avec une très grande expertise, une très grande expertise, et il est l'auteur d'un très bon livre. On le partagera sur notre page Facebook et sur notre compte Twitter pour que vous le lisiez. C'est vraiment un très bon livre. C'est Hamid Bouchéri.
Merci beaucoup, Noufaz. Salam alaikum. Salam alaikum. Merci. Merci. Bon, alors, qu'est-ce qu'on fait? D'abord, on va appeler les vedettes de l'après-midi sur scène. Aziz Sunni, tu veux bien me rejoindre, s'il te plaît? Et Badr Kamal. Bienvenue. Tfaddal. Bien. Tout le monde est bien installé, bien hydraté. Alors, nous allons avoir le plaisir de passer une quarantaine de minutes en votre compagnie. Et je voudrais, avant de lancer un peu nos échanges, remercier les organisateurs pour trois choix judicieux. Le titre du panel, New to Business in Africa, ça m'a fait penser à un titre de film. Ça m'a rappelé Out of Africa de Robert Redford. Donc, le titre est bien choisi. Bravo. Deuxième raison de remercier les organisateurs, c'est d'avoir trouvé des entrepreneurs qui vont, Aziz Ni à ma gauche, Badr Kamal à ma droite, qui finalement vont faire le job. Ils vont vous parler de Doing Business in Africa. Et puis, troisième remerciement, merci de m'avoir confié la modération du panel. Quand vous êtes modérateur, ça veut dire que vous n'avez pas besoin de dire quoi que ce soit. Vous êtes là dans un rôle de passeur de plat. Et finalement, c'est assez confortable aussi. Bien, New to Business in Africa, en fait, nos deux amis, Badr à ma droite, Aziz à ma gauche, ils sont New to Business in Africa. Et ils vous le diront, comment. Mais ils sont pas New to Business. Et chacun a abordé l'Afrique, l'entrepreneur en Afrique avec aussi ce qu'il est, avec son expérience, son background, et qui informe aussi sa façon d'agir. Ce qu'ils ont de commun, vous verrez, ils sont très différents, vous les voyez déjà, mais ce qu'ils ont de commun, c'est tous les deux de s'attaquer à la mobilité urbaine, le business du taxi, la mobilité urbaine, c'est du taxi. Aujourd'hui encore, hein, il y a le tram, mais il y a encore beaucoup de taxis. Ils s'attaquent à ce marché-là, à cet univers-là, qui, à Casablanca, pour Hitch et Badr, et c'est mon taxi à Dakar, c'est des marchés qui sont bien structurés. Alors, bien ou mal, mais c'est des marchés qui sont structurés. Il y a des acteurs, il y a des écosystèmes, il y a des modes de fonctionnement, il y a des habitudes. Et donc, quand on vient là-dedans, dans un univers de ce type-là, et qu'on veut en capter une part, il se passe des choses et on va entendre un petit peu comment chacun essaie de capter une part de ce marché. Pour lancer nos débats, donc je vais demander à chacun des panélistes de se présenter 2-3 minutes pour se présenter et nous résumer un petit peu à très très grands traits son histoire et ce qu'il fait à Casablanca et à Dakar. Donc on fera ça. Et ensuite, on aura une petite interaction sur le mode de questions-réponses et du rebond les uns sur les propos des autres. Alors, je commence à ma droite.
Oui, bien sûr. Bonjour à tout le monde. Je sais que c'est toujours difficile après le déjeuner de garder le bon rythme, mais je vais essayer de ne pas être très ennuyant dans mon speech. Alors, mon nom c'est Badr Kamal. Pour ceux, et j'espère qu'ils connaissent l'application Hitch, on y reviendra tout à l'heure dans le détail, c'est une application de mobilité taxi, Casablanca essentiellement, mais Rabat et d'autres villes dans le futur. Pour moi, personnellement, un petit brief sur ma carrière. J'ai travaillé en Afrique, enfin au Maroc, au Moyen-Orient pendant quelques années, dans essentiellement tout ce qui est transformation digitale et fintech. Et je suis ravi aujourd'hui de partager avec vous quelques petits conseils ou tips à utiliser en fait quand vous voulez lancer une nouvelle aventure. Voilà. Merci.
Merci, Aziz.
Bonjour à toutes et à tous, Aziz Seni, je suis un produit marocain, né à Khouribga, exporté en France, grandi.
Réimporté en Afrique.
Grandi à Mantes-la-Jolie. J'y ai fait mes études, j'y ai créé plusieurs sociétés, une société inspirée largement des petits taxis et des grands taxis marocains. Une société que j'ai gardée 17 ans, avec toujours cet esprit impact social, location de véhicules. J'ai levé le tout premier fonds d'investissement dédié à l'impact social, investissement en amorçage et en développement. Et puis aujourd'hui, je suis à la direction je suis membre de la direction du MEDEF, qui est le premier syndicat patronal français, en charge entre autres de la mission entreprise et croissance, qui est la mission sur laquelle nous réfléchissons pour aider les petites entreprises à grandir, et en charge aussi de la dimension économique, l'économie sociale et solidaire. Il y a 2 ans, j'ai pris mon sac et j'ai décidé d'aller monter une start-up à Dakar, dans un secteur que je connais un peu, qui est celui des taxis, avec une vision un peu particulière et un métier qui tourne autour de...
Tu nous diras
ça veut dire... Il m'a coupé, alors j'arrête là.
Merci beaucoup Aziz pour cette première introduction. Évidemment, on va pouvoir approfondir tout ça. Badr, je me tourne vers toi. Hitch arrive au Maroc en voyant déjà que Uber a eu beaucoup de déboires et a dû quitter finalement le Maroc. C'est très brave de ta part et de la part de l'équipe de vouloir vous installer sur un marché qui apparemment n'est pas très accueillant, si on a bien compris tout ce qui s'est passé à Casa. Raconte-nous, vous êtes masochiste ou alors vous avez trouvé, vous, une clé que les autres n'ont pas?
Alors pour commencer, un petit brief sur Hitch. En fait, Hitch a commencé en France en 2013. C'était essentiellement avec des chauffeurs professionnels qui transportaient des passagers. En 2017, on a lancé au Maroc, à Casablanca. Alors le modèle au Maroc, il est légèrement différent parce qu'on travaille essentiellement avec des taxis, donc des personnes qui ont leurs agréments ou leur licence de circuler et non pas des particuliers, en comparaison à nos concurrents que vous avez cités, qui ne sont plus maintenant dans le marché. Nous sommes ici au Maroc depuis, comme je dis, 1 an et demi. À ce jour, et en première année, on a fait à peu près 750 000 trajets à Casablanca. On a 200 000 passagers qui sont inscrits sur notre plateforme et 4 000 et plus taxis qui sont enregistrés. Et ça, c'est en l'espace d'une année. Et pour répondre à votre question, professeur, effectivement, quand on a vu la croissance qu'on a eue les premiers mois, et vis-à-vis aussi de notre management ou notre CEO qui est basé en France mais qui a vécu au Maroc, connaissant la problématique marocaine ou casablancaise essentiellement du transport, donc l'idée était effectivement d'arriver mais avec un produit légèrement différent qui est dans le cadre légal marocain.
D'accord. Donc en gros, une autre façon de lire un peu ça, c'est que les prédécesseurs, les concurrents se sont pris frontalement la profession des taxis, et vous, Hitch, vous êtes l'ami des taxis.
Exact, c'est bien le résumé. Donc, on ne vient pas inventer quelque chose from scratch, comme on dit, mais on vient se baser sur une demande et une offre qui est là, mais pour essayer d'apporter une nouvelle technologie qui va faciliter la vie et aux passagers et aux chauffeurs de taxi.
D'accord, merci. Nous reviendrons sur le modèle économique dans un petit moment, mais je sens que Aziz, à ma gauche, il est un peu dans les starting blocks. Raconte-nous comment un Marocain de France se retrouve un jour à Dakar. C'est pas très courant. Donc qu'est-ce qui s'est passé et comment tu l'as fait?
Après 17 ans d'entrepreneuriat en France, j'avais envie de sortir de ma zone de confort, comme on dit pudiquement, aller à la conquête de ce continent dont on dit qu'il est de demain, mais moi je pense que c'est le continent d'aujourd'hui, l'Afrique. J'ai eu la chance de pouvoir visiter le Sénégal, un ami m'y a invité, j'y ai passé une semaine, je suis tombé littéralement amoureux de ce pays qu'est le Sénégal, de cette ville qui est Dakar. J'y suis revenu en posant mes valises à travers un Airbnb, en ne connaissant personne. J'ai passé 6 mois en observation, juste à discuter, en habitant dans les quartiers pas du tout habités par des émigrés français ou marocains ou des gens que je pouvais connaître ou côtoyer, mais vraiment en immersion totale avec la population.
Tu m'as dit que tu as fait l'expérience des coupures d'eau et d'électricité.
Oui, j'ai commencé par les premiers temps. J'ai habité dans des quartiers plutôt résidentiels et puis au fur et à mesure du temps, je me suis avancé à habiter dans des quartiers plus populaires jusqu'à arriver effectivement dans certains quartiers où les coupures d'eau, les coupures d'électricité sont monnaie courante. Mais c'est important parce que quand on est dans le service, on s'adresse à des gens et quand on s'adresse à des gens, à des clients, je pense que c'est important de les comprendre, de connaître leur quotidien, de savoir quels sont leurs modes de consommation. Et quand on est une start-up, on n'a pas les moyens de se payer de belles études, etc. Et rien ne vaut une immersion totale. Alors il faut avoir le temps, c'est vrai. Mais comme je suis quelqu'un qui aime les gens, qui suis curieux de la nature humaine, eh bien ça m'a enrichi de ce point de vue-là. Donc 6 mois, et puis au bout de 6 mois, parce que quand on lance effectivement une start-up, un business, on regarde toujours les choses et le marché à travers le prisme de sa propre expérience. Moi, mon expérience, c'est quoi ? C'est le VTC pendant 17 ans, c'est la location de voitures, c'est l'investissement en capital, donc le financement, et toujours avec une ligne, un fil rouge qui est l'impact social. Donc j'ai constaté que le marché du taxi était perfectible, qu'il y avait une offre qu'on pouvait développer sur place. Et donc j'ai lancé cette start-up, c'est mon taxi, avec... je peux la décrire maintenant, professeur ? Merci. Alors, on se connaît bien, on se connaît depuis plusieurs années, c'est pour ça qu'on se taquine un peu. C'est mon taxi, c'est 4 métiers. On s'adresse à des jeunes diplômés au chômage et on les forme au métier d'entrepreneur taxi. Pas chauffeur taxi, entrepreneur taxi. Une formation de 240 heures, c'est à peu près un mois, avec un petit peu de gestion, un petit peu de marketing, un petit peu de commercial, du droit des transports, du tourisme, très important, comment accueillir un touriste, connaître les sites touristiques. Une fois que la formation est actée, elle est sanctionnée par un examen, on finance des taxis neufs, écologiques, par le biais d'un contrat de location-vente. Donc on finance sans apport ni caution. Donc toute personne qui a validé son examen a accès à un financement de taxi sur 5 ans d'un véhicule écologique. Écologique, ce sont des moteurs hybrides, GPL essence. Donc le troisième métier, c'est développer le chiffre d'affaires des chauffeurs et de les aider à gagner plus d'argent, plus de revenus, avec une application digitale de réservation de taxi que nous avons développée, testée et qui sera prochainement lancée. Et le quatrième métier, c'est la communication. Sur Dakar, sur la CEDEAO d'une manière générale, vous avez à peu près 130 000 taxis officiels. Sur Dakar, vous en avez 20 000. Les proportions sont les mêmes. Vous avez à peu près 90% des taxis qui sont locataires de leur véhicule, qui ne sont pas propriétaires. Donc c'est vrai que quand on le constate, les locataires de taxis ne font pas très attention au matériel dans leur conduite, et aussi ça se voit sur les carrosseries. Mais quand on devient propriétaire de son taxi, on fait très attention à son taxi, au matériel mécanique et à la carrosserie. Donc si vous avez des carrosseries propres, vous pouvez faire de l'affichage, vous pouvez faire de la publicité. Donc c'est mon taxi, c'est 4 métiers, c'est former, c'est financer, c'est développer le chiffre d'affaires et c'est communiquer. Et donc j'ai lancé ça il y a 1 an et demi. Alors les joies, c'est qu'ici on peut dire très tranquillement, sans avoir de soucis, que pendant 1 an à peu près, je l'ai fait de façon informelle, pour modéliser, pour tester, pour voir un peu comment le chauffeur que j'avais sélectionné réagissait, comment le suivi du véhicule pouvait se faire, la relation avec les administrations, les institutions. Et puis 1 taxi, 2 taxis. Et puis il y a 2 semaines, nous avons maintenant 500 taxis à disposition pour exploiter l'application qui sera lancée au premier trimestre 2019, Inch'Allah. Donc voilà un petit peu cette histoire, c'est l'histoire de mon taxi.
Un mot-clé, pas tous les mots-clés, mais un mot-clé, c'est l'immersion. C'est l'immersion, la patience, l'apprentissage. Et puis, tu vas nous dire un peu quelles sont tes ambitions sur les 2-3 prochaines années avant de revenir à Hitch. Quelles sont les ambitions?
L'objectif aujourd'hui de C'est mon taxi, c'est de développer 3000 taxis financés à Dakar en 5 ans, avec un objectif qui est très clair, c'est de modéliser sur Dakar et ensuite de d'essaimer, de démultiplier sur les autres villes, Abidjan, Libreville, Yaoundé, Douala, Cotonou. Les besoins sont les mêmes, les marchés sont les mêmes, et le besoin de former des chauffeurs, de les faire monter en compétences, le renouvellement du parc des taxis avec des taxis neufs. La moyenne d'âge à Dakar d'un taxi, c'est 19 ans. 19 ans. Je suis monté dans des véhicules pour mon étude de marché qui sont plus vieux que moi. Et j'ai 42 ans. Donc,
il y a une raison aussi. Tu m'expliquais le châssis, le numéro de châssis.
Non, je ne vais pas l'expliquer ici.
Non.
Non, parce que ça c'est... Non, c'est pas compliqué, c'est que c'est un petit secret de fabrication et un cuisinier ne peut pas vous donner toute la recette.
Alors, je n'en dirai pas plus. J'entrerai un peu de secret. Donc, déjà pour Hitch, c'est une start-up française qui essaime un petit peu en Europe aujourd'hui. Ouais. Et puis, ils traversent la Méditerranée très tôt, en fait, dans leur cycle de développement. Qu'est-ce qui fait que Hitch s'est intéressé au Maroc?
Alors, premièrement, parce que notre management et donc notre CEO lui-même a vécu au Maroc, donc connaissant la problématique des taxis, spécialement Casa. Donc, il s'est dit que voilà, il y a une opportunité à faire, il y a quelque chose à prendre en considération ici, il y a un marché aussi. Et justement pour l'information, donc sur tous les pays où Hitch existe, le Maroc est deuxième en termes d'importance, en termes de volume. Donc, et ça, il ne faut pas oublier que c'est sur la première année uniquement de développement. Donc là, on parle de Casa, mais dans le futur, on en parlera tout à l'heure. Rabat sera aussi dans le viseur dans les jours ou les semaines à venir. Et puis, on a un autre plan. Oui, allez-y.
Tu vas nous expliquer le modèle maintenant.
Oui, alors le modèle est assez simple. En fait, dans toutes les villes, et vous connaissez comment ça marche, il y a le compteur. Donc, compteur plus les frais de service, entre guillemets, que le passager paie. Donc, par exemple, à Casa, vous prenez un trajet, le compteur fait 15 dirhams, donc vous payez 5 dirhams de plus en tant que passager. Pourquoi les 5 dirhams de frais? Ça nous permet de couvrir parce que ce qu'apporte l'application sur deux volets, premièrement, aux chauffeurs de taxi, c'est la facilité de trouver des passagers sans s'arrêter à chaque endroit qu'il y a une levée de main. À Casa, vous savez comment ça marche, il faut lever la main, le taxi s'arrête, vous allez ici, non, j'y vais pas, il redémarre. C'est la même chose pour le passager, on facilite la chose. Choisissez votre point de pick-up, donc là où vous voulez être, le taxi vous voulez qu'il arrive, et puis votre destination. L'information arrive à tous les taxis qui sont dans un rayon défini par l'application. Et puis le premier taxi qui est à côté va accepter l'application, va accepter le trajet et va se diriger vers le client, récupérer le client et puis se diriger sur le trajet. Le point important ici, c'est qu'on ne limite pas les clients ou les chauffeurs de taxi à utiliser seulement notre application, parce qu'un chauffeur de taxi, il a quand même besoin de gagner sa vie, donc il peut prendre un client Hitch, et sur le chemin, il peut prendre aussi un autre client régulier sur la route.
Donc pour le taxi, pour le chauffeur de taxi, Hitch, c'est un revenu supplémentaire.
Exactement.
5 dirhams de plus par course.
Oui.
D'accord. Comment on les recrute, les taxis? Comment on les sélectionne? Et qu'est-ce qu'on fait avec eux? Voilà.
D'accord. Alors pour le recrutement de taxi, en fait, ça se fait au niveau de nos locaux au bureau à Casablanca. Les taxis viennent nous rendre visite. On a des critères importants à mettre en place. Par exemple, on ne prend pas les taxis, les voitures qui sont âgées de plus de 8 ans. C'est pour garder un certain esprit de neuf, entre guillemets, sur notre flotte de taxis. Et sur toute la première année, effectivement, 4000 taxis ont répondu à cet appel-là. Et on fait une formation, première chose, pour le chauffeur de taxi, avec nos équipes commerciales sur place. On lui forme à comment utiliser l'application et on maintient aussi en considération certains critères. Par exemple, un chauffeur de taxi n'a pas le droit de refuser un X pourcentage de trajet. Donc ça, c'est des critères qui nous permettent de garder une bonne qualité de service par rapport à nos passagers et aussi continuer à offrir des nouveautés dans le futur dans d'autres villes.
D'accord. Il y a aussi d'autres incitations au taxi d'entrer
Oui.
dans votre système?
Absolument, parce qu'un taxi qui rejoint un Hitch, premièrement, il a l'application. Deuxième point, en fait, on a une couverture médicale à tous les taxis qui sont inscrits avec nous, et ça sans aucune charge au chauffeur de taxi. Ça veut dire, je suis chauffeur de taxi, je vais chez Hitch, je corresponds aux critères, je m'inscris et je suis immédiatement bénéficiaire d'une assurance maladie, assurance décès, couverte par un assureur partenaire marocain. Donc ça, c'est très important parce que c'est le retour qu'on a eu d'à peu près tous les chauffeurs, parce que c'est quelque chose qui est important. Et comme vous savez, un chauffeur de taxi, c'est pas facile d'aller payer la prime annuelle ou mensuelle d'une couverture médicale, et ça, on le fait à la place des taxis. En plus de ça, on fait aussi des partenariats avec des sociétés qui font de la maintenance de voitures ou qui font de la revente de pneus, parce qu'on sait le taxi, ça roule beaucoup, les pneus s'abîment rapidement, donc il y a des prix préférentiels sur ce niveau-là. Et dans le futur, on pense aussi à rester dans cet esprit social, apporter des choses nouvelles pour les chauffeurs de taxi. Ça peut être du logement social à prix préférentiel, ça peut être un abonnement mobile à zéro frais ou à petit frais qui permet de ne pas consommer la connexion Internet. Et donc ce genre de choses qu'on essaie de mettre en place.
Vous fonctionnez presque, du point de vue des chauffeurs de taxi, vous fonctionnez presque comme une coopérative.
Dans l'esprit social, parce qu'on reste quand même, on veut rester dans cet esprit social. On ne veut pas juste être l'application que le chauffeur utilise pour trouver un client et le déposer, mais on veut offrir un écosystème autour du taxi qui nous permet de garder un peu une sorte de fidélité, entre guillemets, un modèle de
C'est parce que vous êtes de grands philanthropes ou il y a une logique business quand même? Parce que ça coûte tout ça.
Non, ça coûte énormément. Et en fait, on met ça en place après avoir écouté les chauffeurs de taxi et leurs problématiques. Moi, personnellement, je prends 2 ou 3 fois le taxi par semaine, juste pour comprendre et écouter, voir comment ça se passe. Et quand on a fait des focus group avec des chauffeurs de taxi, on comprend que leur problématique, et c'était la première, c'était la santé, donc l'assurance, et puis on prend en considération tout ça pour essayer de faire des partenariats intéressants avec nos autres partenaires, par exemple d'assurance ou partenaires aussi pétroliers, où le chauffeur de taxi peut se diriger pour faire son plein ou faire son
et là, quand on
assistance.
parle de New to Business in Africa, il y a dans les pays du Sud, souvent, il faut offrir aux gens des services qui n'existent pas, où il y a une carence de services sur, par exemple, le médical et l'accès au logement, alors que quand vous faites ça en Europe ou en Amérique du Nord, vous n'avez pas besoin d'agir là-dessus parce qu'il y a déjà un système qui offre ces choses-là. Mais dans les contextes où vous êtes, c'est important.
C'est important parce que les marchés sont différents. La France ou un autre pays d'Europe ne se compare pas. Le Maroc, c'est complètement différent. Il faut donner des motivations pour un chauffeur de taxi pour rejoindre Hitch. Ça ne se passe pas simplement par une application, parce qu'une application, tout le monde peut faire ça. Il faut aussi des incentives, des choses qui encouragent.
Merci. Alors, entreprendre en Afrique, on sait aussi que c'est un environnement où les économies africaines sont caractérisées par un très fort poids du secteur informel et du cash. Et vous êtes dans des métiers qui sont très, très exposés au cash et qui fonctionnent beaucoup sur le cash. Comment tu gères ça à Dakar et comment on gère ça à Casablanca?
C'est vrai que quand on a fait essentiellement son parcours comme je l'ai fait d'entrepreneur en France, on tique un peu sur le cash, la problématique. En France, le cash est de moins en moins une culture. La carte bleue et le paiement par carte a pris énormément de place. Les pouvoirs publics ont réduit très fortement le paiement légal en cash, puisqu'il était de 3 000 € maximum. Aujourd'hui, il est de 2 000 € avec une vision à supprimer le cash. Et quand on arrive en Afrique, et en particulier en Afrique subsaharienne, la culture du cash est très présente. Alors c'est vrai que moi, au début, j'ai un peu tiqué. Ma première réflexion, ça a été de dire, mais comment je peux sécuriser tout ça? Parce qu'un chauffeur qui encaisse des courses, le premier modèle, c'était le chauffeur encaisse la course, le cash est reversé à un collecteur de loyer qui lui-même va l'amener au bureau et qui ensuite, tout cet argent va être transporté à la banque. C'est un petit peu dommage. dans une société, dans un monde où on a beaucoup d'autres solutions alternatives. Et la solution alternative, elle a été très simple. C'est que peut-être plus à Dakar qu'ailleurs, en tout cas par rapport au Maroc ou par rapport à Paris, le paiement en mobile se fait de manière quasiment naturelle. Les gens payent, s'échangent des flux financiers avec un compte mobile monnaie. Et donc c'est avec ce compte mobile monnaie qu'on a très fortement réduit la circulation du cash. Donc le chauffeur va encaisser la course, qu'elle soit en cash ou par paiement mobile. Il a son compte mobile. En fin de journée ou à la fin de la semaine, il fait un transfert sur notre compte mobile société à nous. Et nous avons un suivi et toute la traçabilité est faite ainsi et sécurisée. Ça nous évite toute la circulation du cash. Et pour la comptabilité, c'est beaucoup plus simple. Donc les fintechs nous ont beaucoup aidés sur ce sujet-là. Ça ne veut pas dire non plus, parce que par exemple sur l'activité de VTC en France, vous avez des VTC qui ont, un peu comme Uber, etc., qui ont totalement supprimé le cash. Je pense que c'est totalement impossible en Afrique.
Alors, je reprends l'esquimau. Au Maroc, on a aussi une culture, on a une culture du cash, mais on n'a pas le paiement mobile, le mobile payment que Aziz utilise au Sénégal. Comment vous réfléchissez sur cette question-là, du cash et des flux?
Oui, alors pour le moment, et donc pour la clarification, quand un passager paie le compteur plus 5 dirhams, donc les 5 dirhams, pour le moment, restent pour le chauffeur. Donc c'est une sorte d'encouragement pour le chauffeur, donc on ne récupère pas 5 dirhams au niveau de Hitch. Dans le futur, il y a des plans effectivement, parce que ça va être ça la source de revenus. Donc il y a plusieurs idées à mettre en place, que ce soit éventuellement, on ne va pas dire la carte de crédit, parce que je pense à mon sens que pour le moment, et surtout à Casablanca, on n'est pas trop habitué à payer un taxi avec une carte de crédit. Ça peut être une limite de crédit dans l'application elle-même. Par exemple, un chauffeur de taxi peut venir faire recharger sans, pas le mobile, mais l'application elle-même, d'un montant X, qu'il devra utiliser pendant la semaine, et à fur et à mesure que les trajets sont faits, notre commission, par exemple, sera déduite. On peut faire, par exemple, que le chauffeur, quand il collecte de l'argent, il ait, par exemple, 24 heures pour pouvoir faire un versement au niveau de certains points de vente en cash. Donc ça, c'est deux solutions auxquelles on a réfléchi dans le futur à mettre en place pour la collecte.
D'accord. Et puis, à la fin de la journée, le succès et le développement de vos business dépend de la qualité du service. Et à la fin de la journée, il y a un conducteur qui prend un passager sur un trajet et il faut que ça se passe bien. Et comment on s'assure que ça se passe bien et que le client a la meilleure expérience possible? Et comment tu es vigilant là-dessus?
Tout business est une histoire de relations humaines et toute prestation de service, et je parle uniquement de ce que je connais, c'est le domaine du service, c'est d'abord la qualité de l'exécution du service. Qui dit qualité dit bien sûr une forme de management particulier, que le collaborateur ou le partenaire, pour notre cas, le chauffeur de taxi étant un indépendant, puisse se sentir bien, se sentir dans un groupe, se sentir respecté. Mais l'essentiel et le plus important, c'est la formation. Il faut absolument que nos chauffeurs, nos entrepreneurs taxi soient formés, qu'ils aient conscience de ce qu'est un client, de sa fidélisation, de la notion de service, comment on accueille un touriste, comment on accueille et comment on accompagne un cadre d'une grande entreprise qui se rend d'une réunion à une autre, comment on accompagne des enfants le matin et le soir qui vous sont remis par des parents qui peuvent être inquiets de savoir s'ils ont bien arrivé à l'école ou pas. Le point clé, ça reste la formation, c'est une aventure humaine. Et pour rebondir sur ce que disait Badr tout à l'heure, beaucoup de gens pensent que l'application, c'est l'alpha et l'oméga de ce type de business. Aujourd'hui, une application de réservation de taxi, vous pouvez en avoir une pour 10 000 $ si vous cherchez bien du côté de l'Inde ou du côté de la Roumanie. Mais ça reste un outil. In fine, et tu viens de le dire Hamid, c'est que à l'arrivée, au bout du bout, vous aurez toujours une personne, pour le moment, ça risque de changer, un chauffeur qui vous ouvre la porte ou qui ne vous l'ouvre pas, qui vous accueille correctement ou qui ne vous accueille pas correctement. Donc le plus important, c'est le bout de la chaîne, c'est ce chauffeur qui doit être respecté, qui doit se sentir bien dans son travail et surtout qui doit être formé. Et formé pas uniquement à l'utilisation de l'application, mais formé à cet environnement dans lequel il évolue et pour lequel il rend lui-même service un client qui doit être satisfait pour qu'il puisse revenir. C'est l'intérêt de tout le monde. Donc moi, je mets énormément l'accent sur la formation et c'est pour ça qu'on a bâti une formation. Alors, on m'a posé la question, on me dit, vous vous rendez compte, 240 heures pour un chauffeur de taxi. Mais je ne forme pas des chauffeurs de taxi, je ne leur donne pas un permis de conduire. Je forme des entrepreneurs. C'est juste cela la différence. C'est que je veux avoir des gens qui, au-delà d'être au volant, soient des petits entrepreneurs, des micro-entrepreneurs, conscients de ce que c'est que la relation client, conscients de leur démarche commerciale, conscients de tout cela, de tout ce que nous savons tous ici avec nos business et nos affaires, la gestion d'une entreprise, quelle qu'elle soit, petite pour le coup là, ou plus grande.
Et ce cursus de formation que tu développes pour les besoins de ton business, et tu es en train, je crois, de le déployer avec un partenaire, avec un institut de formation?
Alors, on est en partenariat. Moi j'ai été... je ne suis pas un grand professeur comme Hamid, mais j'ai donné quelques cours
pas dire n'importe quoi.
J'ai donné quelques cours d'entrepreneuriat sur des modules à Paris Dauphine ou dans des écoles de commerce. Donc je me suis inspiré de ce module qui s'appelle 24 heures pour monter ma boîte, avec mon expertise et mon expérience liée à la 17 ans de direction et de création et de développement d'une société de VTC. J'ai créé une formation, mais ce n'est pas mon cœur business, ce n'est pas mon métier d'exécuter des formations. Donc j'ai trouvé un partenaire à travers une personne, un professeur qui a vécu et qui avait un centre de formation aux États-Unis, d'origine camerounaise, qui est très implanté sur la côte ouest africaine, et avec qui nous avons noué un partenariat. Donc il a des locaux, il a des professeurs, et c'est lui qui est le maître d'œuvre de cette formation à Dakar. Et peut-être demain, on s'accompagnera dans notre croissance. Donc c'est vrai que c'est aussi une aventure collective. Moi j'ai toujours été de ceux qui disent que quand on monte un business, il y a ce qu'on sait faire, et puis il y a les autres choses, et bien, il vaut mieux avoir un bon partenaire qui fait ça depuis très longtemps que de réinventer l'eau chaude soi-même.
Et ce que tu fais sur la formation juste confirme ce que j'étais en train de pointer, à savoir qu'entreprendre en Afrique et dans des pays émergents consiste souvent ou nécessite de s'occuper d'aspects de dimensions dont tu n'aurais pas à t'occuper de ça en Europe. Et il faut s'occuper de mettre de la formation, il faut s'occuper de l'assurance, il faut s'occuper d'accès au logement, etc. parce que l'écosystème n'est pas complet. Ailleurs, il y a des instituts qui forment, il y a des banques qui prêtent pour le logement, il y a des assurances maladie qui couvrent ça. Ici, il faut créer quelque part un peu sa chaîne de valeur. Alors, je reviens à la même question de la qualité du service. Comment est-ce qu'on s'assure de la qualité du service? Je sais que vous faites un peu de formation aussi, mais comment est-ce que chez Hitch, on s'assure qu'on donne la meilleure qualité de service possible aux clients?
Alors, en plus justement de la formation, parce qu'au niveau de Hitch, en fait, on travaille en étroite collaboration avec l'UMT, donc l'Union marocaine du travail, le syndicat des taxis. Donc, l'UMT nous aide énormément en termes de formation, ça c'est sur un volet. À part ça, on assure en fait sur l'application quelque chose qui est intéressant. Quand vous faites un trajet en tant que chauffeur de taxi ou passager, vous avez la possibilité à la fin du trajet de faire une notation dans les deux sens. Donc le chauffeur de taxi, il fait une notation pour le passager et inversement. Il y a aussi une case commentaire et en fonction de votre notation en tant que passager ou chauffeur et en fonction du commentaire, on a un système qui est automatisé qui remonte le degré d'importance de ce trajet-là. Donc s'il y a un commentaire par exemple qui est très négatif par rapport au chauffeur ou bien au passager, nous avons une équipe dédiée passager qui est en train de lire toute la journée les commentaires en temps réel et puis les remonter par email. Et si par exemple il y a un mauvais entre guillemets comportement d'un chauffeur de taxi, on a des procédures internes quitte à bloquer le chauffeur de taxi à avoir accès à l'application pendant un X nombre de jours, le temps de reformer encore une fois parce que peut-être qu'il a mal fait quelque chose sur l'application ou il s'est mal comporté. Donc, encore une fois, comme disait Aziz, c'est vraiment la formation, parce que vous avez beau avoir le meilleur outil possible, si les gens qui l'utilisent ne le maîtrisent pas, ça peut partir dans tous les sens.
Est-ce que le client marocain est différent du client français? Hitch est en France et puis en Italie.
En Italie, en Belgique.
Et Suède?
En Suède, exactement. Ouais.
Est-ce que vous étudiez le client marocain? Est-ce qu'il a des spécificités par rapport à d'autres ou finalement c'est la même chose?
En fait, la culture est complètement différente et c'est là le point le plus important dans toute cette optique-là, c'est que les pays européens sont différents du Maroc. Pour nous, le challenge a été au début cette culture de commander un taxi par téléphone. On a tous été habitués à vraiment juste lever la main pour signaler un taxi. Maintenant, c'est la culture qui importe. Ça a été très difficile au début vis-à-vis certains chauffeurs de taxi, une minorité, où en fait, ils pensaient qu'on allait changer carrément la donne sur le secteur, alors qu'on venait en plus leur apporter un outil différent. Pour nous, la culture est importante parce qu'il faut faire comprendre, que ce soit aux passagers ou aux clients, qu'on leur facilite la chose. Au lieu d'avoir juste un client sur la route, on apporte un client à travers un outil avec un revenu supplémentaire. Et aux passagers, au lieu de rester malheureusement avec le niveau de sécurité qu'on a dans certaines villes, attendre dans la rue soir ou très tôt le matin, attendre un taxi, eh bien c'est plus simple de commander un taxi 5 minutes à l'avance. Vous avez la localisation exacte. Quand le taxi arrive, vous descendez de chez vous et puis vous êtes en toute sécurité dans votre taxi. Donc ça, c'est vraiment de la culture qui a été très, je ne veux pas dire éducation, mais une information au niveau culturel que nous avons au Maroc.
Merci. Aziz, toi, tu as pratiqué le client français pendant des années, et puis maintenant tu pratiques le client sénégalais. Est-ce qu'il y a des différences?
Il y a forcément des différences culturelles, forcément. Moi, j'ai commencé en France à une époque où déjà nous avons travaillé sur les modes de consommation. À l'époque, commander un taxi et faire payer un client avant le départ, c'était quelque chose de révolutionnaire. Expliquer qu'il fallait payer comme pour le train ou comme pour l'avion sa course avant de partir, ça a été un temps d'adaptation et c'était un temps où Uber ou d'autres n'étaient pas encore présents, où seuls les taxis tenaient le monopole à 99% du marché. Donc il a fallu éduquer. Éduquer, c'est ce qui est plus compliqué quand on apporte une nouvelle solution. Aujourd'hui, la différence, par exemple, entre le consommateur français et le consommateur sénégalais, on l'a dit tout à l'heure, c'est sur la partie cash. Vous avez très peu de clients français qui payent en cash et tout le monde a pris l'habitude, à Paris, à Bordeaux, à Lyon, à Marseille, de payer sa course de VTC, de transport, même de taxi, avant de partir ou de la payer en carte bleue. À Dakar, expliquer aujourd'hui l'application, qu'on peut commander un taxi par son téléphone, que l'on peut payer avant. Oui, mais si je paye avant, est-ce que le taxi va venir? Mais si je paye et qu'il ne vient pas toutes ces questions légitimes que tous les clients se posent, ils se les posent pour le taxi, on ne se les pose jamais pour l'avion ou pour le train. Donc il y a effectivement encore une éducation à faire parce que comme toutes les nouvelles offres, eh bien, il faut expliquer. Et expliquer, c'est investir en communication et investir en marketing. C'est un budget.
Oui, très bien. Alors, on approche un petit peu de la fin de cet échange. Badr, qu'est-ce que toi et Hitch, qu'est-ce que vous avez appris au Maroc et qui va guider votre développement futur au Maroc et en Afrique?
Alors pour l'apprentissage, en fait, je pense que c'est un point très important. À chaque fois quand on lance un nouveau produit, on a l'idée que le même produit va marcher dans tous les pays, alors qu'en fait, pour moi, le plus important, et ce qu'on fait avec les équipes, c'est toujours être à l'écoute, comprendre c'est quoi le besoin réel du marché. Est-ce que ce produit va fonctionner tel quel ou il faut faire des changements? Et c'est pour ça que je disais tout à l'heure, on est toujours à l'écoute des chauffeurs de taxi parce qu'après tout, c'est eux qui roulent toute la journée, c'est eux qui ont des difficultés peut-être sur la route. Donc, ce qu'on a appris, c'est qu'il faut, pour moi personnellement, être toujours à l'écoute pour mieux comprendre ce qui se passe. Il ne faut pas se dire, voilà, j'ai une idée, je vais la mettre en place. Les focus groups sont très importants. Et comme j'ai mentionné tout à l'heure, même pour le Maroc, et on est en train d'ouvrir dans les prochaines semaines, Rabat va être faite cette semaine, la semaine d'après. Il y a Marrakech, Tanger, Agadir. Même nous, au Maroc, il y a certaines villes qui sont différentes. Les cultures, ou la culture casablancaise est différente de celle de Marrakech. Et on essaie quand même d'adapter le produit pour qu'il corresponde à tous les besoins.
Aziz, les trois conseils, les trois messages clés que tu voudrais confier et partager avec notre cher auditoire.
Sur une installation d'une start-up en Afrique subsaharienne, c'est d'abord de ne pas chercher, d'oublier tout ce que vous avez appris pour déconstruire, pour mieux réapprendre, déconstruire tout ce que vous avez appris et ne pas chercher à plaquer un modèle. Ça ne marche pas. Il faut vraiment adapter son modèle en fonction de la réalité des modes de consommation, des cultures, de la sociologie, si on veut vraiment que ça fonctionne. Avoir du temps, beaucoup de temps, beaucoup de temps.
Et apprendre le Wolof?
Apprendre le Wolof, oui, j'ai fait un effort, j'ai poussé le bouchon jusqu'à essayer d'apprendre le Wolof, la langue nationale sénégalaise, parce que ça m'intéressait. J'ai lu des livres de sociologie, ce que je n'avais pas fait depuis très longtemps, essayer de comprendre l'histoire de cette corne de l'Afrique, parce qu'on ne l'apprend pas. Pourquoi le Sénégal, pourquoi la Côte d'Ivoire est là, d'où ça vient, qui sont ces gens qui sont là, pourquoi il y a plusieurs ethnies, des questions qui sont très intéressantes. Mais là, c'est toujours une curiosité à la fois intellectuelle, mais qui est très utile aussi ensuite quand vous discutez avec les gens, parce qu'ils ont le sentiment, à juste titre, que vous vous intéressez à eux et à leur histoire, et donc forcément, ça crée du lien. Parce que le business, c'est quoi, in fine? Et ça, c'est mon troisième conseil, ne jamais l'oublier. In fine, et on en parlait tout à l'heure, Hamid, c'est que à la fin, que vous vendiez des cacahuètes dans une rue ou que vous vendiez des centrales nucléaires, ce sont deux personnes, un homme ou deux hommes, deux femmes, deux personnes qui vont s'asseoir, qui vont signer un contrat, qui vont se serrer la main et qui vont créer du lien. Un lien économique, mais un lien quand même. Et ne pas oublier que toutes ces histoires, tout ce qu'on fait à travers des outils de high-tech, tout ce qu'on fait à travers la réflexion, tout ce qu'on fait, c'est d'abord et avant tout une aventure humaine. Et donc la dimension humaine dans tous nos actes, dans toute notre vision, dans toute notre façon de déployer les choses, elle doit être présente. Et je souligne que si on regarde l'actualité économique, qu'elle soit au Maroc, qu'elle soit en France, qu'elle soit aussi au Sénégal, parce qu'il se passe des choses, tous ceux qui oublient cette dimension humaine se prennent des portes dans la figure et se voient chassés à coups de bâton. Donc il faut ne jamais oublier cette dimension humaine, j'ai presque envie de dire cette dimension sociale.
Merci Aziz. Alors, on a quelques secondes pour donner à nos amis ici une bonne raison d'installer Hitch sur leur smartphone.
Ça prend 20 secondes à installer, c'est pratique et ça vous évite les embarras de la rue à attendre un taxi. Et je vous invite à l'installer tout de suite. Merci.
Merci à tous les deux. Merci Badr. Merci Aziz. Très bonne continuation et très bonne continuation à vous aussi. Merci beaucoup. Merci, bon après-midi.
Alors, et pour la suite de notre programme, sur un panel intitulé Diaspora Sharing Africa, je voudrais inviter Léonard Lévesque, d'Afrique Invest Manager, pour la conduite du panel.
Thank you, Naufal. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Leonard. I work for Anima Investment Network, which is the organization that is managing both initiatives. The Next Society, so this morning you met Matthias, he is the innovation guy, and there is the Africa Invest project. I am the diaspora guy from the French diaspora. So I would like to invite on this floor Ali, Talal, Mehdi, and Anwar. Please come here. So, Anima, as you know, is a network that gathers about 80 organizations that are mainly located in the Mediterranean basin. And since 2002, we exist since 2002, and since 2005, very early in the process, we considered that mobilizing diaspora was a big leverage, a big means in order to foster economic development in the Mediterranean area and in Africa. So since this date, we have been implementing several initiatives and programs in Morocco, in Tunisia, in Egypt, Lebanon, Palestine, and so on. And we implemented and tested a wide range of mechanisms and initiatives, financing schemes, training sessions, master classes, and so on, in order to involve the diaspora. And since 2016, we coordinate the DAfrique Invest project, which is funded by the European Union, and that aims at connecting the high talents of the diaspora with opportunities. So mainly it consists in identifying people from the diaspora from 3 different countries, Morocco, Tunisia, and Senegal. So here, of course, in Morocco, we work with StartUP Maroc. In Senegal, we work with the Center of Young Leaders, le Centre des Jeunes Dirigeants. And in Tunisia, we work with Connect, which is the second employers union at national level. So with this team, we have several expertise, and we offer an access to the markets in the countries. So we identify diaspora entrepreneurs that are mainly living in Europe. We have some candidates that come from the US, but very few. And we offer them the possibility to access the markets in Tunisia, Morocco, and Senegal by getting them closer with high talents. So we have the opportunity to comment it in a moment. And also we work with the national institutions and regional institutions in order to foster the strategies and to implement some mechanisms and new legislative dispositives in order to reinforce the mobilization of the diaspora. So it can be funding mechanisms, new innovative vehicles, information campaigns, web platforms. We have a lot of ideas in order to catch the diaspora and try to make them stakeholder of the economic development of the country of origin. So this initiative will end up by 2020. And we have the chance to count on the presence on this floor of two people that are actively involved. I think, first of all, about you, Anwar. So you are the founder of Veilings, which is a startup based in Amsterdam. So you are a representative of the Moroccan diaspora in the Netherlands. And you founded a startup which is dedicated to behavioral marketing, but maybe you can explain a bit further. And please give us an insight of how the diaspora, the Moroccan diaspora, is structured in the Netherlands, maybe in Benelux, and if you know, in Europe.
All right, thanks a lot for that introduction. Yeah, so I'm the founder of Veilings. Veilings is basically a market research company. We're actually known for being able to help other entrepreneurs, whether big or small, to determine whether there is demand for their product. So the more traditional way of conducting market research is that you do survey research. What we try to do is, by looking at real purchase behavior, we can predict whether a particular product or service is going to succeed in the market. Now, this actually started way back when I was doing my PhD at the University of Amsterdam, which I did in marketing. And one thing I would like to mention about diaspora in the Netherlands, specifically Dutch Moroccans, the reality is, the Dutch Moroccans aren't doing that well. That's the starting point. If you look at, you look at the first generation of labor immigrants. They had, very specific role within the Dutch society where they did a lot of the handwork. There were, some ambitions, some expectations with respect to the second generation. So I'm part of the second generation. So I was born in the Netherlands. Unfortunately, because of some dynamics, you saw that very few had a good education, very few were exposed to good networks. At the same time, some Dutch Moroccans do realize that they are actually finally part of a world where there's a lot of infrastructure. I mean, just think about good education. It's basically free in the Netherlands. It's actually subsidized, so people are really encouraging you to enjoy a good education. And secondly, nothing really is stopping you from exploring entrepreneurial activities. Now, I do have to mention that even in the Netherlands, which is always so highly ranked as a country, if I look at the diaspora of the Dutch Moroccans, there are very few Dutch Moroccan entrepreneurs. You all saw, of course, Shukri Moussaoui this morning. I mean, he is one, but there are actually not that many. In fact, when we had dinner yesterday, he asked me, "Do you know how many other Dutch Moroccan entrepreneurs do you know in Holland?" And actually, we couldn't name that many. And we were born there. We know the people there. And it's not because there is a lack of resources and infrastructure. It's also something in mentality. But the good thing is things are changing, because what was always lacking is examples, and you're starting to see a lot more examples, not only within the community, but also when they look at other immigrant groups, specifically, for example, the Turkish immigrants in the Netherlands. They're incredibly entrepreneurial, and that is something that is very encouraging, because it tells them, they started from nothing. So if they're able to do it, then I should be able to do it as well. And that is something that people are starting to pick up, because no matter what, being an immigrant, being part of the diaspora, even though it puts you in, you're starting from zero basically. It does give you that motivation. I should perform. I need to work a lot harder than the indigenous people. I mean, not indigenous. I mean the natives. So that is something you do see, but it is we're not there yet. In the sense, you don't see the same type of entrepreneurial activity among immigrants as you see that, for example, in the United States.
Okay, thank you. So you are a successful entrepreneur. How do you contribute to the economic development of your country of origin? So this year, in 2018, you have been selected as a mentor in the DAFRIC project. So can you explain us briefly in what does it consist, and how do you consider it's contributing to the economic development of Morocco?
Now, the interesting thing is, I actually, even though I have a Moroccan background, I actually didn't go to Morocco for a very long time. I had no relationship with Morocco. I didn't have any interest in going back to Morocco. And then when I started the company, very very shortly after that, I got in touch with a number of people who got me introduced to the Moroccan network of Moroccan startups, but also the government. And initially we had the idea, maybe we should look for clients in Morocco. Maybe we can find clients. It turned out to be really hard, practically mission impossible. And we were, successfully able to get clients elsewhere. But what really happened that I did not expect to happen is I found, amazing talent here in Morocco. Like young people who have a lot of potential, who were able to contribute. And really, I didn't have that expectation. I really thought, in Morocco, when you look at, so for example, I need software engineers, as part of the company. And even though we had software engineers in the Netherlands, I never had the expectation that software engineers here in Morocco could be of the same level as in the software engineers in the Netherlands. What I found was actually quite the opposite. Actually, it turned out, I could find very motivated software engineers who had a lot of potential here in Morocco. So I started slowly but steadily investing here in Morocco by attracting software engineers, and now I was the person who was never going to Morocco to a person who was, visiting Morocco almost once per month. So that drastically changed.
Okay, thanks a lot, Anwar. I would like to give the floor to Talal Benjeloun. So you are the co-founder of Glamping Hub. It's, let's say, the Airbnb of outdoor accommodation. So you live in Spain, you are a representative of the Moroccan diaspora in Spain. So maybe you could give us your insight about the situation of the Moroccan diaspora in Spain as well, and maybe tell us what are the main barriers regarding your experience as an entrepreneur to contribute to the economic development of your origin country.
So yeah, I'm Talal. I am the co-founder of Glamping Hub, which is, like you said, the Airbnb for outdoor accommodation. So basically, so you can understand, it's glamping is glamorous camping, and it's all type of accommodation that are outdoors, from tree houses to yurts to teepees to safari tents to bivouacs that we have here in the Sahara Desert. So it's a pretty big company so far. We have 35,000 accommodations all over the world. We're managing it from Spain, from the south of Spain, because it's an online company, it's a tech company. I mean, I could manage it from here. I don't know why not. And yeah, so we're about like 80 people right now. That's a small introduction. And about the diaspora in Spain, I don't think it exists. Just like Anwar was saying, I think we're all spread out all over the world, but there's no connection. There's nothing that actually puts us together. The only thing that I experienced myself in Sevilla. Okay, it's the capital of Andalusia. There's like nice consulate and everything, and sometimes they do have like these parties in the consulate of Morocco, right? So that's the only place that I actually had a comment with someone, a Moroccan who lives in Spain. But that's about it. Like literally, that's about it. We were discussing before that there was this type of association that started, but just disappeared. But I think there is a big lack of someone. I don't know if there is like a ministry or something like that of Les Marocains du Monde that actually puts us together. So there's a lot of things for other type of people, but definitely not for entrepreneurs. So I don't think it exists, unfortunately.
So, in the framework of the Africa project, we are focusing on mobilizing both the talents and the money. Regarding the talents, how would you encourage the creation of tools or mechanisms in order to foster the mobilization of successful Moroccan entrepreneurs who would like to come back to their country? What are the main barriers, and what are the main measures that should be encouraged in order to reinforce it?
So look, it's an interesting question because I think there are tools. Like I just learned about them yesterday. There's this tool that is called CCG, right? Caisse
Centrale de Garantie.
Centrale de Garantie. So I actually wanted to do this trial right here in this room. How many of you actually know about CCG? Can you raise your hand? That's very sad, actually. That's super sad. I don't think that's not even 20% of the people right here. I think we're all here because we are, there's something between us and entrepreneurship in general, or something between us and startups in Africa and everything. But there's this great tool, like I just learned about it yesterday. It's a great thing. It's a fund that it's for startups. They give equity-free money. This is, like every single entrepreneur loves this word, right? Equity-free money. And then it's no one knows about it. So I think it comes from the information. Like even myself, living in Spain, I'm going to answer one of the questions that you asked, Anwar. Is like, how do you come back here, right? So I had no idea until I saw there's one event. I think it was back in 2014, a startup event in Casablanca that I actually invited myself. I was like, hey. I'm an entrepreneur. I live in Spain. Like I'm Moroccan. I come little by little. I mean, sometimes I would like to be a mentor. I would like to give back to society. And then, so what I'm trying to say here is that there's a lack of information about what's going on in here. So if I don't know what Morocco can offer in terms of entrepreneurship, I'm just gonna stay in my bubble, like of whatever I'm doing right there. And then there's nothing that makes you want to come back. So I think if the information is there, if this CCG or, now thanks to all of these organizations, we can learn about it from the social media and everything. If the information comes to us, then we're definitely going to come back. So.
Okay, thanks. It's very interesting because, as I said previously, we are supporting the national institutions in creating new mechanisms in Tunisia and in Senegal as well. And in Tunisia, it's exactly the same thing. It's all a question of information and territorial marketing. I mean, the origin country has to develop a marketing to attract the talents and to create the new tools and the appropriate tools. Thanks a lot. Now I would like to give the floor to Mehdi Klouf. So, Mehdi, you live in France, in Montpellier,
Yep.
and you founded several startups on fintech regarding remittances. So maybe it could be of interest for our today's subject. And now you founded a startup regarding car. You will explain, I think, better than myself your IoT solutions for cars. And you have the chance to be in the Diafric project coaching process as a diaspora entrepreneur. So how is it going on?
Thank you for your long introduction. And I want first to thank Anima and all the staff that make great job here, StartUP Maroc, and thanks for having me. I'm. People say that there is serial killer and there is serial entrepreneur right now. It doesn't mean that you succeed. Most of the time, an entrepreneur have to keep this in mind, is that you will fail many times. And one time more you will succeed. So failure is part of your path. So I built several fintech company in France. So I was living in Paris previously, born and grow in Paris. And I founded 3 startups in the last 15 years in the prepaid debit cards industry. So the first debit cards in France, and then Mobitop, which was a startup founded in Munich with 2 investors. And we were doing international credit at time transfer. Basically, a Moroccan guy living in Paris could directly top up your mobile phone here in Casablanca, so he could send you airtime, prepaid airtime. And this startup grew very well. We connected more than 52 countries with more than 120 mobile operators worldwide. And we sold this to an American company, which was our competitor, iSend, in 2013, which acquired our company there. So then I was in the other side, in the coaching incubator side, when we decided to invest in a couple of fintech, exactly, I think, 11 companies, and only 2 of them survived. So, I mean, the incubator works is very hard. And on these 2 today, there is only 1. So you can see that whenever you are in the other side, it's also quite difficult. Even I have some experience as an entrepreneur in Europe or internationally. I'm here as a new entrepreneur. So I don't know how to do business in Africa. So I'm like everybody here. I don't know where and how to do business in Africa. So I'm here to learn. And keeping this in mind, I think I have to remind how I found Anima. I think I was tapping keywords in Google like, it could be interesting to know how, because it's important for diaspora.
Did you type the word diaspora?
I don't think so. I think I tapped Startup Africa, something like this. And then I fall into Anima, and it was the start of our discussion. And it was fantastic because I decided to develop Africa because many reasons. First reason, I knew that Africa is not an easy continent, and it's very difficult to access all these countries, but it can be a huge opportunity because Europe is very accessible, which means you have lots of competitors, and you have to fight every day with hundreds of competitors. So Africa is less accessible. Somehow, if you do pretty well your job and you create enough value and your value proposition is strong enough, you could grow your company in one country, I guess, pretty well. So I needed to learn from Africa, and when starting to discuss with Anima, they told me that there was a program named Traffic Invest in Morocco, Senegal, and Tunisia, and it was great because I wanted to expand the company and learn about this country, especially Morocco and Senegal. This is what happened. So this is why I'm here. I'm here to learn, and I already learned lots. I was previously, before to come here in Dakar, thanks to the program, where I could meet several companies, and I invite you guys to meet the fastest possible your potential clients, because this is where you will learn a lot. I mean, we all have ideas, we all love our solution, but we have to go really fast on the markets and speak with your potential customers, and this is where you will know what you have to do. And this is what happened in Dakar. I have a couple of discussions with insurer, with a logistic company. By the way, I forgot to present my actual venture, which is CarFix. We are in the connected car industry. Basically, we open the data that are locked inside any vehicle to collect them, analyze them, and value them. We have a strong belief inside the companies that the value of the data of your car, even your personal car, will value more than your car itself. And this is what we are starting to do right now. And we start with companies. Why companies? Because big companies have large fleets, vehicles. Imagine logistic companies with hundreds of trucks. They have to optimize the cost of usage of the trucks. And this is what we provide to companies having large vehicle fleets.
Mehdi, I would like to go back to the remittances. What is the money we are talking about? I mean, it's not the money that allows you to transfer to your family. It's not the social support money. I mean, the remittances we are focusing in our initiative is related to how to mobilize the savings from the diaspora located in Europe in order to contribute to the productive investment in their country origin. What, coming from your experience on the remittance startups you have been creating, would be your opinion regarding how we can address, how we can catch this money in order to contribute to the economic development?
I think that remittance is one subject. And what we are talking here is another thing, because remittance used, I mean, diaspora send money back home for sometimes helping the family to pay food, to pay scholarship, membership, etc. So it's not really for investing in innovation, etc. What I think is that we can address diasporas. I think the second generation, at least, like we are. That have good income, live pretty well in France, in Spain, Italy, whatever, and have money to invest. When you say money to invest is not millions, could be 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, and have a kind of special funds where they can put money. And they will put money inside this because it makes sense for them to do it, to finance startups that contribute to a social impact. And I have lots of Moroccan friends. So if you tell this guy, listen, we have a fund, we have startup in Morocco or in Senegal or whatever. This is what we are doing for agriculture, for whatever. Do you want to invest in? And more than this, more than the value and the impact that you provide them, we should also provide them taxes optimization. Because that's the point. You have people that have 10,000 euro more at the end of the year, or they pay it to the government taxes, or they put it in your funds. So for sure they will prefer to put it in your funds. So I guess it's one way of thinking of it.
Okay, thanks a lot. Regarding this financial engineering, I would like to give the floor to Ali Betahi. So you are the partner in Equity Invest and the president of Finatech Systems. And you are back because you have been living in the US. So we have some testimonies of the ongoing, let's say, diaspora from Netherlands, Spain, and France, and the repat testimony. Ali, you are an investor. We are talking about financial engineering. How can we catch this money? How can this money contribute to the development of Morocco?
Thanks, Leonard. I had to take your mic. That's the evolution of people who leave the country and come back. So after having spent about 20 years in the US, especially in Silicon Valley, I moved back to Morocco about 6-7 years ago, and I started an investment company that basically specializes in technology. So in the past 5 years, we have bought 5 companies. We have employed about 160, 170 people. And the goal is to take these companies and grow them to become leaders in their sectors. So we have a company in the renewable energy. We have one in fintech. We have one in security systems. We have one in media. And we have one in software development. That said, my international experience, having worked for some large investment funds or investment companies like Morgan Stanley in San Francisco, and after that I had some experience in technology companies, have helped me tremendously in basically trying to find that transition between the American model and the African Moroccan model, which are totally different. I mean, you land in your country of origin, and everything is different. So you have to adapt to that. You have to adapt not just your values, but everything you stand for in order to fit into the local economy. That said, I think, going back to your question, how can we capture the investment? I think investment is about 2 things. It's about trust, meaning that me as an investor or someone as an investor needs to trust the entrepreneur, and it's about risk. So it's a balance. It's a balance between risk and trust. Unfortunately, in Morocco, in Africa, we don't capture a lot of VC money because the VC culture is not very developed. And I think in Europe, the same thing. I think Europe is still catching up to the rest of the world, being Asia and the Americas. Africa being close or closer to Europe, we're very influenced by the European principles and European ways of doing things. So I think it's a huge challenge to find venture capital or investment for startups. However, we've done it. I think there are a lot of initiatives in place. I think one of the things that these entrepreneurs looking for funds need to do is to get organized, is to approach, as you said, in Spain, for example, you mentioned the diaspora is very minimal, I think. In the US, it's different. In the US, the diaspora is a little bit more organized. 15 years ago, the US, some friends of mine, and I joined them later, launched an association called AMPA, and I think a few members of AMPA were here earlier, and it's the American Moroccan Professionals Association. Get together every 3 months, talk about business, help each other, try to find funds, try to do things to get, initiatives moving. Unfortunately, we don't see that in other countries, as we were talking earlier. So I think it's about getting organized. It's about building this trust. It's about having some success stories, because investors, when they go to a country, they want to see that there are success stories, how can they take their money out of the country? I think the regulation needs to help. So an abolition of l'office d'échange will be very welcome, so that investors can come in, bring the funds, invest their money, and when they want to take their money out, we don't make them, circle around to try to take their money out. We just let them take their money out, pay whatever taxes they need to pay, and they go on. So these are things we need to work on in order to catch, investments for startups in Morocco and Africa, I think.
In Senegal, we discovered that the presidency of the Republic, with the support of the French Development Agency, they launched a program called PAISD in order to mobilize the savings of the Senegalese diaspora on a rural development project, like small scale, 500 euros, 1500 euros. And it refers also to diaspora bonds that are have a lot of success in India or Mexico or Ethiopia. Do you think this kind of model could be realistic for Morocco in order to attract the fundings of diaspora people on local development projects?
I agree with you. I think that model could be duplicated here in Morocco. I think, myself having left the country when I was 18 years old and came back when I was 36, 37 years old, you always want to go back to your country and succeed. I think it's part of the immigration cycle and evolution. So having vehicles like this that can help you develop the business once you move back, or once the diaspora gets back to its country of origin, is definitely welcome. And I believe it will work in Morocco the same way it could work in Senegal or other countries.
Regarding repatriation, so you three live abroad. I guess that repatriation is not a willingness, a real wish. I mean, it's a strategy. It has to be built as well. So what could be the conditions for you to come back?
It assumes that I want to go back, but I don't know, honestly, because I think there could be many reasons to establish yourself in Morocco. I mean, one of the things that has really changed my interaction with Morocco is simply the cost of transportation. It became very cheap nowadays, to fly between Europe and Morocco. So, and I know a lot of people who are able to divide their times, between Europe and Morocco, and I think this is only going to increase over time. Now, especially if you can combine this with your entrepreneurial activities, if there's some synergy in doing that, then I can imagine myself establishing in Morocco. But even now, even though I'm based in Holland, I don't have a house here in Morocco, but I can easily see that if I continue the way how I'm doing business right now, that I would need to establish myself in Morocco. Would I consider that being back to Morocco? I don't think so. I don't. I know there are a lot of people, especially back in the Netherlands, they dream of retiring and then going back to Morocco, once they're a millionaire or I don't know what. I don't necessarily believe in that. But I do believe in the fact that there's, Morocco is developing as a nation. The cost of transportation is going down. So I mean, there is no doubt in that this trend is going to happen where people are going to divide more time between, being in Morocco and being, in Europe in my case.
Sure, I totally agree with you, Anwar. I don't think there is there's no conditions, like you said, like we need conditions to come back to Morocco. I think this hybrid model is working a lot. I know of some people that actually, what we say typically have a foot in Europe and another one in Spain, in Morocco. It works a lot, and it works better because you don't have to change your whole, let's say, like lifestyle or family if you have a family there and everything. So, but we need something, what Ali was saying, at least if we're going to invest, are we going to be able to do whatever we want with that money later on? So to not be too strict, I think there's a lot of things that we all love Morocco, and that's where we're going to be Moroccans forever, no matter what, no matter how many years we're going to be out there. But the thing is, it needs to be appealing for us, a business way. Let's say, like, I'm going to be here, I'm going to find an infrastructure, I'm going to find, like this whole people that are going to connect me with other people, money-wise, like you invest. Imagine there's a different way of taxation for the Moroccan diaspora out there, then maybe it's going to be more appealing to actually come back, do some business here, and then just like expand your business and be a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah, I think that this is something that is quite different from one entrepreneur to another one. We are not equal with this. You know, you have people that can support lot of things, and others that less. So we are not equal on this. So just to be careful with this. In my case, I have a wife, 2 children. So I think for me, what is important is the family. So I have the chance to have a wonderful wife that accepts what I'm doing, accept that I can travel and not be at home 1 month, 2 months, and take care about the children. And I have children that I agree with what I'm doing too. So I think that this is a balance also, because we are all talking about entrepreneurship, but we also all have private life. And if in your private life you don't have the right stability, it can have a problem with your professional life. So in that case, where you are from the diaspora from Europe and you come back in Morocco or in Senegal or whatever, I think family, I mean, that in the back should push you to do it and agree with what you are doing. It's very important to be coherent and
okay. Thanks. Is it really obvious that we speak about diaspora? Because when an entrepreneur living abroad from Morocco, living in Europe, comes back here in Morocco, he is not from the diaspora, he is an entrepreneur. So he is eligible to all the public fundings and mechanisms, so it doesn't matter. So is it really relevant that we are talking about this? And Ali, you mentioned the issue of trust, but I make the link with the other initiative we are holding regarding the structuration of ecosystems. Are there some tools that exist today in order to reinforce, to strengthen this trust?
Trust in terms of investment. Well, I think, as you mentioned, there's CCG that helps guarantee loans from banks and things like that. And I think they're launching a fund specialized in startups as well. Is that what you mentioned earlier? I mean, as you said, once you're a diaspora, when you live in another country and you move back to your origin or country of origin, that's it. You're a citizen of that country. You're no longer, you know, even if you have dual citizenship, it doesn't matter anymore. So you have to respect local laws. You have to obey by regulation, and you have to live, you know, the way all citizens live in the country. There are challenges. Challenges are cultural. You know, if you have lived in Holland or in Germany or in the UK for 25 years and you are used to certain ways of doing business, you go anywhere to Africa, which is an emerging continent with its own ways of doing business, and you're going to find challenges on just to give you a simple, you know, thing. An appointment in Africa is different from an appointment in England, right? 3 o'clock in England, 4 o'clock maybe in Africa, or the next day, I think. Actually, I travel a lot in, you know, sub-Saharan Africa, and sometimes you have an appointment at 9 o'clock, the guy shows up in the afternoon. So it's, you know, it's cultural adaptation to the market. Some people survive it, and they can, you know, grow and thrive in it. Some people can't. I have many entrepreneurs, friends of mine, who moved from the US and could not survive doing business in Morocco. I mean, that's the brutal truth. I'm sorry, I have to say it. So there is success stories, there is failure stories, and there is stories of not being able to adapt culturally to the country of origin once you move back, if that's what you meant.
Yeah, actually, in the framework of this project, on the upcoming year, on 2019, we are going to focus on developing a club of investors and trying to create a network of business angels from the diaspora, from Morocco, from Tunisia, from Senegal. So it's an invitation. I know that mainly there are entrepreneurs in this room, but I know that there are also investors. So you are free to come and join our initiative. Because we got aware of the fact that venture capitalists, they fund big amount tickets, but there is something missing in the amounts to be funded on very small tickets like 5,000, 10,000
business angels.
Yeah. So what's your opinion? Does it have a sense to mobilize the business angel from the diaspora on this kind of tickets, on this kind of average ticket, in order to fund the SMEs?
I think actually there are some business angels here. I've met them on the hallway. It started to finally getting organized and showing up. I think business angel is a very important component in the chain of investment. You know, it's the first step. The first step is friends and family, where if you want to start a business, you're going to have to get some funding from your friends and family, and later on go see business angels, and after that maybe a VC, and start thinking about an exit later on. So I started seeing business angels in Morocco in the last few years. I think it's elevating the level of investment and helping some startups who cannot go to banks, because banks in emerging countries, they don't give you anything for free. I mean, you have to have collateral for whatever funding you need from banks. So business angels are a very important component in the chain of investment evolution. So we start seeing that here a little bit. I think it's going to advance and accelerate, and I hope it's duplicated everywhere in other countries in emerging Africa.
Okay, thanks a lot. So to sum up, we talked about affection, coming back and investing back in the country is a question of affection. It's a question of communication, territorial marketing. Do you want to add anything, any comment about what is the strategy that Morocco should implement in order to attract the talents here?
I think what's also important to have more investments. I mean, don't forget, I mean, angels and VCs, they invest because they want to return on investment. And they know that Morocco is a more challenging country, right? So, I mean, it's harder to make a profit. But I think one of the opportunities we have here in Morocco is to make things a lot more transparency. Because if you started to show a track record of successful companies where also VCs have, profited from, that's going to attract a lot more investments. I mean, in the US and elsewhere, I mean, investors are actually, very secretive about their numbers, about the track record. It's because they don't want to share, their secrets and everything. But actually, you have an opportunity right here in Morocco. If you find, if you know of a company where somebody invested in and they made a very good, return on their investment, and that person is able to spot more opportunities like that, that is something you want to be made known, because that person is able to easily raise money. Because really, when we talk about investors, if you ever accept money from an investor, you should be also looking at the investor, because they probably need to have a track record. Have they been able to make a proper investments over time? And I think that the lack of this transparency, there's an opportunity of making this a lot more transparent, because if you make it more transparent, you're able to raise more money. Also, people are going to be also people who are going to be starting companies would be also a lot more aware what it takes to be successful, because that's also not very transparent. So a lot of these things that are not transparent should become a lot more transparent. And investors at the end of the day also value this transparency. So I do think there's a very, very big opportunity there. Also, if we talk about micro investments, if I put 5,000 euros in a small company, when can I expect my money back here in Morocco? But now it's not known. You know, everyone is talking about angel investments, but I'm not even thinking. I've never seen any of the numbers, and that is really something that's lacking, and you especially need that in Morocco, where it is actually already known to be more challenging to succeed than let's say in Europe or in the US.
Yeah. Yes, I think that you were talking about the investor side. I don't have anything to add for this. I completely agree. I think that in the entrepreneur side, I think that I will more speak in that way. We need education. I think we need more entrepreneur and more educated entrepreneur. And have a structure like StartUP Maroc that are doing a great job here to qualify the good project and try to make this entrepreneur a good executor, because we all have big ideas, but then these big ideas we need to execute it, and this is where the gap is. And I think that I guess we need more entrepreneur and more power to this kind of structure. I mean, you guys are putting the foundation, and then you have to make it grow and acquire more talent and maybe give more power to this institution that are doing a great job here.
Yeah, so I wanted to wrap up a little bit from your question. I agree with my colleagues. I think it's a very political question what you're asking. So we definitely need to change a lot of things in Morocco. So it's a lot more appealing to the diaspora. So I would start from just giving credit to whatever success story we have. It's great. We've done a great job. For instance, I think yesterday we were discussing it. We did a great job in Morocco about movies, singers, stuff like that, all the cultural stuff. But I think it's time for entrepreneurs too. I would love to see Shukri getting condecorated by the king. This is something that I would just put in all my social media and be so proud of, because he's an entrepreneur living in Europe and everything. So this is something that we need to put, in the mainstream, that everyone knows about, look what's happening in Morocco. People, there is the love, there isn't everything. And then, of course, legislation in terms of investment. We all agree about it, about, hey, I'm going to put some money in here, what I'm going to get, how I'm going to get it back. Do I have to keep it in Morocco? Can I put it in another startup somewhere else and then come back? So it's a political question, I think, at the end.
Okay, thank you guys. Very interesting. Thanks a lot. I think we can give the floor to the audience for some reactions, and I would like, if possible, to also have the contribution of some diaspora entrepreneurs, because you know that 2 days before, StartUP Maroc organized a bootcamp, and some entrepreneurs have been selected within the Africa Invest track in order to benefit from this. So Nora, I don't know if you are here. You are not. Otman, do you want to say something? I would be pleased to have your reaction regarding the coaching process you are taking Profik.
Hi everyone, I'm Otman. I grew up in Morocco until high school, and I went for studies in Paris and for 8 years now, and I decided to launch a project from Paris to Morocco, and with these 2 days of training with the Africa Invest program, I discovered that there are a lot of things that are helping Moroccans that want to do entrepreneurship in their country, like the CCG, Maroc PME. And the programs are even better than the ones in France, for example. I wanted to start my project in France because I thought in the beginning that there were helps, there were subsidies that will help me do my project. But now I discovered that it's the same in Morocco, where there is an ecosystem helping young entrepreneurs and providing all the support needed to begin a successful project, I hope.
Are there any questions? Yeah.
Thank you very much. My name is Luc Schillings. I'm with the Netherlands Embassy. And one of the issues we always deal at the embassy is how can we help to promote the trade and investments between two countries. And one of the miracle ideas everybody has is the diaspora. It's fantastic. You really have people who are ready for it, who really could be helping to really promote trade, create industry, etc. And I've been observing this for a couple of years already and didn't find too much activities on this side. And you are dealing with this, so you can help us a little bit. I think with the examples we had, it was more about how our Moroccans or children of Moroccans who grew up abroad, how successful they could be, and at the end how they could maybe contribute. But that's more something I think in the realm of social entrepreneurship. What I think is more relevant in this field of the use of diaspora is using the networks. And what we see in Holland, but it's different in other countries, in Holland the big majority of the Dutch of Moroccan origins are originally from a region that was very poor and is still poor, meaning that it's very difficult for them to use the network they have to do. Sometimes they do. For example, there are good examples of companies in the field of trading who buy vegetables grown in Morocco, and because of their network can have some advantages. But otherwise than that, I don't see that too much. Maybe it's different with countries like the US or France or Spain, where other people, other Moroccans migrated and were there maybe with a different background and different network. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there any other reaction? Do you want to say an additional word? Okay, so then, Naufal, I give you back the mic. No, we have reactions.
The question is for the three future entrepreneurs in Morocco, if they would like to come back. So I would like to know what are the reasons of coming back, or just at least create a branch of the company that you are running. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your question. For myself, is the opportunity to access market where there is lots to do, for sure. I'm not here to do philanthropy. I'm here to do business, and I'm okay with this. So business opportunity. Of course, the language, it helps if you can speak Moroccan. So maybe in Casablanca you can speak English and French, but when you go far away it's more difficult. I speak also Shelha, so it can help in some area too. But so I'm Moroccan, I love this country, of course. So it's more easy for me to come in this country than to come in South Africa or in Tanzania or anywhere else. And so first of all, and then there is other reasons that are more technical, let's call it like this. I mean, Africa is still a country where regulations is not so, again, so defined. So you can do many things in Africa that you can not do so easily in other countries or other continents.
I mean, just quickly, so I personally don't see a reason why I would like to settle in Morocco, just, because I'm from Morocco or my background's Moroccan, but I do see if there's an opportunity because I'm closer to Morocco, I know the culture, then I'm more than happy to invest. But the synergy should be there. It's not I'm going back to Morocco or I want to invest in Morocco because of Morocco. There really need to be a real business opportunity for it to make sense. Yeah, and I like the food here as well, so also a good reason. The meat is good, actually.
Last question.
السلام عليكم. محمد بن الحميد سويتشر ماروكان. كنفضل نطرح التساؤل ديالي على اللجنه التنظيميه وعلى المشاركين. قبل اول شي حاجه كنشكر الضيوف ديال المغرب اللي جاو شرفونا وشاركونا التجارب ديالهم. مع الاسف افتقدنا الخدمه ديال الترجمه الفوريه، وكنت كنتمنى لو كان في هذا الملتقى على الاقل احترمنا اللغه ديال الدستور، على الاقل اللغه المغربيه، ولو كان هضرنا بشي لغه افريقيه مادام كنا كنهضروا بافريقيا.
Alors monsieur, excusez-moi de vous interrompre. La session, il est en anglais et en français, c'est un choix que nous avions fait. Nous nous excusons parce qu'on n'a pas de traduction. Alors, le choix qu'on a اخترنا الهدله بالفرنساويه وبالانجلي، ما درناش بالعربيه لان لي زيكسبير اللي كاين جبناهم من الخارج كيهضروا بالفرنساويه وبالانجليزيه. C'est un choix décidé. Merci beaucoup. كنحترموا la remarque ديالك. دابا on va passer à notre session.
شكرا على الخدمه.
Et pour la suite du programme d'aujourd'hui, j'appelle Monsieur Mathias Fillon pour l'interview de notre cher Amin Smahi. Mathias.
It works? Yeah. Okay.
Hello again to everyone. We're gonna do this fire chat with Mr. Amin Smahi on startup exit story. So we're gonna talk about what is an exit and how it has been lived by you when you had this experience with your startup. So first of all, I would like to ask you, Amin, if you can just introduce yourself briefly and maybe tell us a word about what is your current activity in order to have the global picture from where you come from and where you are now.
Okay, thanks everybody. So my name is Ismail. I'm Moroccan native, and I did my high school and university in France, and I'm based right now in Paris since 30 years. What I did before, so I spent 15 my career. I spent 15 years working for multinationals and big companies in Europe, and with a lot of contact with the US, Asia, etc. And after 15 years, I decided to leave the big companies and to do some business by myself. So first, I started to create or found a consultancy company named J2S Conseil, which is I'm running right now also. And in the meantime, I started to look for innovative things and how I can create startups. So I created some startups, and right now, sorry. So right now I'm working. I founded 2 years ago a company working in the industry 4.0. So for people who don't know what is it, industry 4.0 is we are just trying to bring digital services for the manufacturers in their productions.
Okay, thank you very much. So you are, we can say that you are a business leader. You work also with startups. You mentor them. You also have an activity as a business angel.
Yeah. I forget that because it's not the main activity. But as I created startups before and I had an exit, I'm putting some tickets. I'll say in France, putting something in some startups to help them, and also to continue to be in this movement of innovation.
Okay, so you achieved an exit. This is the purpose of this discussion, and we're going to explore it during the discussion. But first, can you tell us the story? How did it start with this startup for which we did this story? And what did you do at that time?
Okay, so let's talk about the startup. The startup was, the name of the startup is Flus.com. So for the non-Arabic speaking people, Flus.com means money.com, and we were one of the first fintech companies in Europe.
Excuse me, when was it?
It was around 2005, 2006. Okay, and at this time, if you go back, at this time there were no fintech, and the term fintech came after because all the financial services, bankers, etc. It was a closed area. Nobody can go there.
Okay, so you arrive with your solution at that time when the innovation ecosystem, especially regarding fintech, is not developed as today. What solution you propose in this unfavorable context?
Okay, so we looked how as the founders was the two founders. I was one of them. We were Moroccan. We tried to compete. We were doing money transfer for the migrants and trying to compete with Western Union, MoneyGram, and people and world company like that. Just because they were created in the 60s and they never evolved their manner or their services. So we were bringing online money transfer and instant money transfer for migrants, and with because we looked at the prices also. Western Union at this time took from 10 to 15% from that, and we were just bringing that for 2% of the amount. That's what was the idea, and using the technology on this business.
And besides this, I would say, unfavorable context, as an entrepreneur at that time, it was a journey for you as well. It was a challenge.
Yeah, it was really challenging because the financial services was really clear. Just to say another story, I don't know how to say anecdote in English, so for people can understand. So when we started, or when we had the idea, we talked with lawyers because this is the bank market is under regulation. We had a meeting with some people from Banque de France, and they just said us, if you start this, the week after you can go to jail, because you don't have the ability to do that. So it was really challenging, but fortunately for us, we knew at this time that the derogation will change under the European Union law or rules. Okay, so we started thinking, we started developing, and we wait the change of the regulation.
For the regulation.
Yeah, but we were ready for that, as we were I think the second company that had the agreement for Banque de France to work on this area.
Okay. So you
maybe we can go further, because we have to talk about
just to understand the origin of the story. So you launch your startup. I think it goes quite well. It went well, and then you realize different fundraising operations.
Yeah.
So I would like to learn more, and probably all of you as well. What kind of fundraising it was? What kind of investment?
Okay. We started with we were 3 associates. We started sorry for that. We started with our money. We invest around 50,000 euros. The year after we raised money with the first business angel, which is who was Lebanese. So he understand and he was working for some banks. We raised it was our first fundraising. After that, to have the agreement, we need to have also fund, because we need to have a company with a capital of at least 300,000 euros. So we raised with other French bankers who succeed in Serbia and Russia. So they invest 500 euros in the company. So that's why we get the agreement. And the step after, we went to the VCs and we raised 2.5 million euros for another step, and another one in the same amount 2 years after. Yeah.
Okay.
So many fundraisers.
Okay. Yes, it's very interesting to understand that you raise many different kind of investment. And coming now to the exit, You were telling me earlier that the exit is not an end in itself, and I think it's a very important point. It's like when you sell something, it's not the end of the thing. It can be the beginning of something new. So, how did you prepare this exit? How did you manage this exit with your investors, especially with this different kind of investor? Maybe it was more difficult for you to manage this exit with them because they were different and different kind of fundraising.
Yeah, yeah, sure. First of all, what I can say is when usually people think about the exit at the end, but I think that the exit should be one of the items you have to think about when you are starting your company. It took you 2 or 3 hours to discuss with your associate or with the founders to say, how do you see the exit? And this is really important because you have to think about the idea, about the strategy, think also about the exit, because when the exit comes, it's too late to discuss. And when you are founding a company with with partner or friends or with your associate, you need to have the same view about how we can exit, because when you want to exit, usually everybody should exit.
And was it the case for you and your associates?
Yeah, for our associates, for me, it was really clear, and we discussed that. We will agree on that. Is that we were doing some business for the B2C services. B2C services like money transfer vector is based on acquisition and customer acquisition. So customer acquisition need a lot of money, and we knew that we cannot raise money, etc. So our idea is to launch the service, to develop the company, and to try to exit around after 5 to 7 years. This is our this was our goal in this adventure.
So what you are saying is that from the beginning, you already had this vision of what should be the exit.
Yeah.
For you and your associates.
Yeah.
Okay, very interesting.
Yeah. You can change it, or the years after, because things are changing, but you have to think about it at the beginning, because it could be an issue if you are not agree. Because sometimes one of the founders say, okay, I am creating this company and I want to lead it or to manage it for the next 20 years. And the second founder say, no, for me it's for 4 years, because I want to create something after, or I want to buy a jet or something like that. So you have to be in the same.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm curious on it. When you create first the startup, what was at that time for you the perfect exit? Because you say we create the startup, we from the beginning think about the exit. So at that time, and you tell us after if finally it matched your expectation later once you achieved your exit. But when you create the startups, what was your dream exit?
Like every startupper, first of all, is you want to achieve something, because it's not just a question of money, because you have to be proud of what you did. first, and the second thing is, I was just dreaming to say, okay, I want to achieve it, and I want to sell it, and to be able for the rest of my life to do what I want to do. This means that doesn't mean that I want to have just a big house with a pool. This is not my. But doing other adventures with less stress than say, okay, shit, I don't have enough money to do that, or to help startups or people outside. So.
Okay, and so then you did your exit. So first, how did it happen for you? And second question, was it conform to these expectations you had at that time?
I can say yes, because we said it to the VC 6 years after. So it was okay. So just to be positive, but second thing is it's a long story, because why I was saying that you have to think about the exit is the exit. We at the beginning we discussed it with my associate, but when you have business angel come in with you, it's another story, and you have to discuss with him.
Your first investors, the Lebanese ones.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
You have to discuss with him what is his objective and what is his view of his exit also. So you have to change your mind, or you have to convince the people come in and invest in your company how you can do it. So one problem we had, for example, when we had the second business angel, the two guys from Serbia and Russia, we didn't discuss that, because we were really happy to have them, and sometimes, okay, if we discuss that, it will be an issue to sign the contract, so put it under the carpet, and no. Okay, so we didn't discuss this, and when the VC came, our business angels say, okay, this is the time for me to exit.
Yes, absolutely.
Wow. And the VC says, no, I'm investing in the company. I'm not giving money for you just to pay your business angel. And I remember we spent 3 months under stress, and there were no cash in the company, and just if we wait, I remember 2 weeks after, we cannot pay les URSAF, or say the taxes, we cannot pay the employees, etc. And the VCs say no, and the business angels say no.
So how did you finally manage it?
Yeah, and we don't have money to pay them. If I had money at this time, I would say, okay, I can give you the money. Hopefully, by the end, the VC accepted to pay 50% of the stake for them, and we resolved the problem. So you can imagine
happy end.
That. Yeah, it's happy end at this time. For the VC, when we went to raise for the second time the 2.5 million, they just say, okay, I want we can put the money, but we have to. So when you raise money, the problem is valorization. So you say, okay, my company costs 10. They say, no, it costs 2, and you have to discuss. And at this time, they say, okay, well, I can inject more 2.5 million euros, but in the same valorization that the first one. I say, wait, we worked 1 year. It's not that we had more customers, we have more, etc. We had achieved more objectives. Why not?
Should be valorized more. Yes.
Yeah, it should be valorized more. And it was the end of the story, because you look to the contract and you say okay, they say okay. We are not agree about the valorization. So what we can do is we can go to an expert. He can make the valorization, and we have to say okay. So we don't have money to pay an expert. They have money to pay experts. So who paid the expert? It was the VC. So the valorization was just 10% more than the first one. And at this time, we get to them and say, okay, we agree, but we want to exit. And we had negotiation and we exit. So I don't know if it was good or bad, but that's it.
I understand, but thank you because to tell us about your experience, and because, as you say, it's really a journey. And what would you say about at that time how this exit? You just told us how it happened. What was the impact on you personally? Because you have run this startup during several years, then you did this exit. What was the impact of this exit at that time on you, and also on the enterprise after you left?
Okay. The company was so right now the company is still running. They just changed the name. It was the new brand is paytop.com, which is normal because we were working with migrants from Morocco, Algeria, to more than, and they are made some they're pivot to attack other markets, etc. So they need international brand.
So the company
right now, I think that they invest they invest more than 30 million euros. It's running. Maybe it's running good. They didn't sell it right now. They are bringing them to another stage. I know that if we continue as executives, I don't think that we have the energy, the capacity, the motivation to go at this level. So I'm okay with that. I am happy that it
works. It was a good time.
Yeah,
it was a good time. That means
it was a good time
to achieve this exit. So if I'm not wrong, this exit was achieved 4 or 5 years ago, right? Yeah. So how do you assess it today? You told us a few words about it, but would you proceed differently if it had to be done again today?
No, I don't think so. I will do it in the same manner.
This issue of valorization rate.
Issue, but when you negotiate something, when one principle is when you sign a contract, means that you agree. Yeah. So don't look behind and say, okay, look forward and forget. So it's, for me, it's I think for me it was the good thing, because after that you have to change your mind. You have to look for something different. And in my career, even when I was in big companies, I changed every 3 years, because just when it comes annoying, doing the same thing, seeing the same people, etc. I want to change. So it was a good thing to exit at this time.
So for you, the exit comes at the quite right time.
Yeah.
Would you know other example of exit I don't know, for friends
tell you,
or
yeah, I can tell you a story of
successful or not, by the way.
Okay, I can tell you a story of a guy I encountered after this. It was a French people. He was working in the US. He started a company doing software for mobile applications. At the beginning of the market of mobile applications, he developed a software that can
like 15
help.
years ago, or 15 years ago, or something like
this. I think 15 when he started. I don't remember when, but he started at times bringing software for people who want to develop application once and deploy it on iOS, Android, and at this time you have Windows CE, you have BlackBerry, etc. So he developed that. It really works very, very well. He had a lot of customers. Business was working good, and he had a call from Microsoft, and he had a meeting with them. They tell him that as Microsoft they were interested in in acquiring his company, and they just say the number. So okay, are you okay to accept the acquisition, and we can sign the
quite simple in theory.
Yeah, it's quite simple in theory, but the price, if I remember, it was around 5 million euros, and he owned the company himself. So 5 million euros for him was a big amount, but he never thought about that. So
no associates.
No associate, and he never thought about how he want to exit, when, etc. So he had 2 days to decide, and he said, no, I want to continue. I think he didn't see that at this time there were a lot of companies trying to do the same thing. And 1 year after, there were a lot of competitors coming from big companies bringing the same software. He lose all his customers, 50%. Say how we can.
Sad story.
Yeah, that's the end of the story, and at the end he just put the key.
Okay.
Clé à la porte, put the key on the door, and he has zero. So, and when I discussed with him, the only thing he didn't think about is the exit. So if. So this is why I say the exit should be prepared. Think it because you can have an opportunity, and you have to decide very quickly. And thinking about the exit cannot cost anything. You just you think about it every time.
If you don't think of it at the beginning, you don't have time later.
It's good for me, so yes, no, and you don't have any issue on that. So.
Okay, thank you very much. I had a last question, but Nofal indicates me that our time is over. But my question was, what would be your advice for an entrepreneurs who are thinking about raising funds? Maybe I cannot ask you the question, but if you allow me, Nofal, to just ask entrepreneurs themselves if they want to ask directly one question to Amin. One question. So, who would like to ask a question or to react to Amin's experience?
So that's it. They understand everything.
Okay, great.
They agree with that.
with me, I suppose.
Thank you, Amin. Thank you very much.
Alors, pour la suite du programme, j'invite M. Khalil Jay Hokaimi, un entrepreneur en série. Et c'est parmi les gens qui ont aidé il y a quelques années StartUP Maroc à démarrer son aventure au Maroc. Donc, je te remercie encore. Ça fait 6 ans, 7 ans que ça s'est passé. Merci beaucoup. Et je te donne la parole.
Merci Nofel, merci pour l'invitation. J'invite les panélistes à me rejoindre sur l'estrade. Donc, Ali, Hamza et Mohsin.
This one is working.
Okay, so I guess we're here to talk about entrepreneurship. I'm not in the wrong room, right? Okay, so my name is Khalil Jay Hokaimi. I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I am joined here by expert entrepreneurs who will help us to talk about challenges in African entrepreneurship. So let's just go around and introduce ourselves.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ali Zouel. I'm the founder of Chano. It's a social network focused on people who want to socialize, actually, and care about their privacy and want to share stuff with their close friends and family, etc. And content creators. I've been working in the ecosystem for about 5 years as a startup. We've been rated as a top 20 Forbes startup by Forbes Middle East. And before that, I've worked in the industry in general. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, everyone. My name is Hamza Al-Fuqaha. I'm the regional CEO of Kitab Sawti, the world's largest Arabic audiobook platform. I also come from an intense kind of entrepreneurial background. For the past decade, I've built companies mainly in the tech and media spaces, subscription video on demand, and ad tech. Yeah, my areas of specialty are mostly product and marketing, and now focused on building and expanding Kitab Sawti internationally. And I also have background exiting successfully a few startups internationally.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Mohsin Al-Khdisi. I am from Morocco. I have the pleasure to be with you today and to share the panel with this very rich panel. Actually, my experience in entrepreneurship is quite diversified. I am a CTO and partner in AgriData, which is a technology company focused on agriculture. But before that, I was also co-founder and partner in a consulting company in IT, also a retail, smart retail company, and also a digital marketing company. So right now, I am also mentor and coach. I have been with StartUP Morocco for now 5 or 6 years, and it's a pleasure to be with Khalil and all the team.
Thank you. So since we're here to talk about challenges, and before we go into the heart of the topic, let me ask you guys a question. Has any one of you crashed a startup before? Let's give them a round of applause. That's the real experience. Would you mind sharing a little bit about that crash?
Of course. Well, it's not a crash, it's crashes.
Even better.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, in complete honesty, I would say I'm most proud of the failures than the successes. I think lessons learned in entrepreneurship in particular are mostly gained through the failures and not the successes. The successes are usually, more, I don't want to say more of a smooth sail, but it's really the hardship that comes with the failure that teaches you the real tough lessons. So, I mean, my mistakes when it came to startups varied on so many different levels. There was for example, what kind of investors to get on board? Do you get the smart money or do you get the cash? What kind of founders do you get on board? Do you get founders? Do you want to play king all the time? So I did both. Do you go after a business with a vision that you actually love, or if you have an idea that's more of a cash cow, you still pursue it and say I'll take care of vision later? That is also a part that I screwed up big time. But the collective effort here. And also, for example, do you sacrifice on culture when it comes to building a great company and a great team? Or do you not compromise on that at all? So these are all lessons that were tough on multiple levels. At one point, one of the crashes actually caused me to leave the region entirely. Just gave up completely, packed a bag and left. And even that experience itself on how it is on the other side of the world, that was very valuable. And I would say where I am today is just the collective learnings of the past decade, and that's why things are moving in a completely different direction. And there is a sense of satisfaction, a sense of fulfillment right now with what I do.
Okay, thank you. Who's the other crasher?
Yeah. So, well, I would say, the success is basically building on your failures. So it's really about learning, okay, from this failure, taking that as a brick and building on it, then crashing into another thing and then learning. And that's why it's important to just try and to fail and not to give up. I think everything Hamza has raised, I have felt in one way or another. One of the things I really learn from is the emotional attachment you can sometimes have to an idea. Sometimes the market just isn't there, but you love your idea, and you could actually go a bit too long for your own good and for your investors' good. That's definitely a painful thing. But having said that, there are other things that you learn from the idea. You get an instinct for feeling that there's an opportunity here or not quicker. You understand that it's better to not take this deal from someone who has a lot of money because there's no chemistry there, and you feel that you start to feel that it's not going to be an easy relationship moving forward. There are a lot of things. The way we hire, I had a background in management in a corporation, and really hiring for a corporation is very different from hiring for a startup. You need a totally different mindset. And so just understanding what type of person to hire, what mindset you need, that's also a very important lesson I learned. But I guess, all in all, I have no regrets. As I said, it's really what makes you more successful in the long run.
Thank you, Ali. Si Mohsin, anything to add?
Yes, well, actually, I've started a company in 2015 called Digital Data Marketing, based on, well, a whole value chain, but one main product which called Remove. We started it, we were 4 co-founders, and I think that we have failed in 2 things. It was a big failure because actually we have invested a lot of money, and at the end of the day, there was no revenues. 2 things I can say that were failing our project. The first one is the fact that we started an idea somehow with a market which is not mature about it, which is not. So the idea was somehow advanced compared to the markets. The idea was to do crowd marketing, so to do marketing tasks using the crowd. Anyone can go with his phone and do marketing tasks for big companies. The things we succeeded in is that we succeeded in engaging 15 or 17,000 users in 3 months, which was really interesting because these users were just young people everywhere in Morocco who can do this kind of tasks, and they were doing them. But the most important thing we just missed is we didn't went very quickly to the market. We didn't do sales in a good manner, and actually all the founders weren't focused on this company. Everyone has other things besides. So that was one of the reasons we failed. But actually, it was also a very interesting learning. I think it is one of the things we now have in mind whenever we are getting into business.
Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, I can confirm we have the right panelists. All right, so let's get to the topic. Challenges for African entrepreneurs. I know the list is long, so let's start with the top 3 for each of us. Let's start there. Who wants to go?
Okay. Just before I start talking about the challenges, I think it's important to note that as an entrepreneur, anywhere in the world you have challenges. So the point about talking about challenges is not to give up or to say it's hopeless, but rather to go in with your eyes wide open and to know where you're expected to hit the wall, so you can be better prepared. I think we spoke a little about this. The main challenges are team, being able to build a strong team, retain it, get the right culture, etc. I'm based in Egypt. We have a bit of a brain drain, so a lot of very good developers are leaving for Germany and Sweden and the US and Canada, etc., Australia. So that's one. The second is capital. It's still difficult to get capital for good ideas with traction. And the third is, I would say, the legal framework, having the right legal framework that can support startups. I think it differs from country to country, of course, but for example, our bankruptcy laws in Egypt are very tough on entrepreneurs. You can actually end up in jail. So it's actually not a very good environment to create something that's supposed to fail most of the time. So these are the top 3: people, legal, capital.
Thank you. Excuse me. So this is I'm coming from a bit of a different perspective here because I'm not an African entrepreneur per se, but we do business in Africa a lot. Just a quick background. So our company is originally Swedish, and we have offices in Dubai, Cairo, and Palestine, and we also have a lot of our tech talent coming from Morocco. And from my previous experience, I also worked on launching a company across the region with offices in Africa. I would say, just like Ali mentioned, number one, I think that's the dominating factor, is the talent and culture. Not a lot of people in Africa, North Africa in particular, as far as I've seen, come with that level of experience, that international exposure. And that's very challenging for companies that want to build world-class, startup culture that scales, because that is contagious, especially at the very beginning. The kind of people that found a company are going to define one way or another how that company grows in the future. So you need to be very careful, and the selection process needs to be very vigorous. Now that challenge basically results in us being a bit slower in recruitment, but at the same time, we cannot play chicken and egg with this problem. We want great talent to come from Africa, but we're not willing to sacrifice and take the risks and open up offices over there to help nurture new talent and expose them to new experiences and expose them to that level of what that culture means. And that's what we've been trying to do, and I think so far it has been fruitful in a sense. We are guilty in the sense that we also steal some of the talent locally, but I think in the long term that would definitely be helpful because they could pay back, and that could help improve, because when you take someone from a very good environment here that gave them that exposure, you're basically allowing someone else to come in and take that experience again. So that's on the talent and culture. Another very serious challenge in Africa, I would say, for entrepreneurs, especially online businesses, is payments and payment gateways. It's kind of a nightmare in the region in general, but with very low penetration of credit cards here, it's even more challenging. It also means that you have to strike certain partnerships of certain scale to actually penetrate the market, but I think we'll discuss that in solutions. The last thing is, again, related to Ali's point when it comes to the legal framework. Setting up an office is very challenging. Getting the right paperwork, getting the right setup, so that you don't, do something wrong, in a sense, and end up, spending months in court or screwing up the entire operation. So that's, in a nutshell, what I would say are top 3 challenges here.
Thank you. Simasin?
Well, I think most of what has been said by my colleagues is true, and is true especially in Morocco, in Africa. But in my opinion, one of the first challenges that face an African entrepreneur is himself, is the mindset, because the mindset is something very difficult to tackle and to face. What I mean by mindset is sometimes this is anchored in our personalities. Because we are always, for example, hearing people say, what do you want to do? It's better to do things like that or like that. You should just get a job with a good salary and that's it. Sometimes you have challenges, from other people that are next to the entrepreneur. You have challenges also in the mindset of the collaborators or of the people that are working with you, but also the people that you are dealing with, like your providers, but also your customers. And in this mindset problem, you'll face a lot of problems in terms of payments sometimes. You have a lot of startups that fail just because they don't get the payments from their customers at the right time. So sometimes when you are paid 8 months or 1 year later, it's very difficult to have a sustainable business model. Another thing that's really important for me, and I have noticed it a lot, is that we don't encourage, in terms of fiscal, but also in terms of legal environment, startups. We have like regulation, and we have task framework built for big companies, not for startups. And the way it is done makes it very difficult for a startup to be also sustainable. And maybe the last thing I want to talk about, which is also, in my opinion, very important, is about the ecosystem itself. Sometimes it's very hard to find mentorship, coaching, because we don't have a lot of success stories out there. We have some, which are good, but then sometimes it's very hard to find someone to coach you, to give you the right advice, especially for people who are young and starting a new enterprise. It's very important to have this also as a framework. I mean, it should be encouraged to have you can have a mentor status and things like that, so that to make sure that you get the right advice. Because sometimes you have a lot of dreams, but when you go to the market, you face the reality, and the reality somehow is very hard. Last thing I think is sometimes it's part of the mindset. We don't think about entrepreneurship as something that should be built from scratch, and there is a lot of foundation in it. We want to get rapidly, to get fast to the results, and this is not good, because entrepreneurship is more like construction. Building, when you want to build 100 floors, you need to have a really good foundation, and you have to get a long time under the ground in order to build it. So this under the ground parts, we don't want it, and that's why somehow we want to get fast, and then sometimes we fail.
Thank you. So if I may summarize what I heard people, legal, capital, payments, and mindset. I don't think these are specific to Africa. I think they're everywhere. I mean, the mindset, I could go to France and talk about that. The capital, I don't think you'll find any entrepreneurs that say, oh, we've got plenty of capital, we don't have shortage of capital. Do you have any stories that are specific to Africa? Why are these important in our continent?
Maybe I'll start, because actually this is part of the things I wanted to say. So actually, it's very challenging, but the fact that it's challenging, that means it's also something that's very interesting to live. We talked about capital. Here in Morocco, for example, you can raise the same amount of capital as in the US, but with another, in Moroccan dirham, not in dollars. So it's 1/10 of the amount. So you can raise money, you have somewhere funds, but you cannot have, you don't have the same culture in terms of venture capitalists. You have, most of the time, people are thinking in terms of banking. They try to find a lot of guarantees. So it's more about giving you money for guarantees than our collaterals, than really risking. So we don't have a risk. We have a risk aversion. We don't have a risk-free mindset. So when we talk about capital, yes, these are challenges that you can find in the UK, in the US, or in Dubai, but it's very hard here to have the same and the same amounts and the same way of thinking in terms of funding. Same thing applies to legal framework. A lot of regulation out there, even in the US or in the UK, are constraining for startups. But here, because there is a lack of trust, most of our societies are lacking trust between government, between private sector, and between startups. So you will find more constraints on the founders. Same thing applies to mindset. Yes, we can find very mindset that are not willing to go and to take the risk and so on in France or in other European countries. But here, the mindset is a collective mindset. So this makes it more difficult. So what I mean is the challenges are always there, but it's not the same level of challenge up in here in Africa.
Thank you. Would you say some of those capital challenges are due to the fact that the people with money are thinking like bankers?
I think definitely yes, there is that to a great extent. A lot of the people who, at least I can speak about the world in Egypt and Levant and that area, they started as investment bankers and then moved to VC funds. So there is this type of thing. This is starting to change, especially with exits and with experience, because it takes time to understand how things go for the VCs and for us. The entrepreneurship ecosystem is still nascent. We are like less than 10 years old in the whole region. So there's nothing wrong with having challenges. There's nothing wrong with them learning and us learning. I think there's a key stage, which is the angel investment stage, which is where we have a big difference between Africa and, for example, the US and even France and definitely UK, etc. Because angel investors are basically people who have been in your place before, usually. They are previous entrepreneurs who have made an exit or two or three, who have quite a bit of capital where they can, diversify some of it and put it in high-risk startups. These people add value in helping very early-stage startups, sometimes in the idea phase, something that VCs simply don't look at. And this is a key stage because it's like the stage of the seed, that's starting to break out of the ground. Without having, someone to nurture that seed, that's the angel investor. That's why they call them an angel. It's just very difficult for the seed to grow. So these people have been there before. They give money, but they also give a lot of very, very good advice. Entrepreneurs, and I think Mohsen was talking about that as well. I have certainly made mistakes that if an experienced person was giving me advice, I would not have made, because they are already obvious mistakes for someone who is based in Silicon Valley or the UK. They hear about it every day in their coffee shops, etc., when they're talking to their colleagues. We had to learn it the hard way, and that means that we have a higher failure rate at the very same time that we actually need to have a higher success rate, because we can't afford to fail as much. We're less. We don't have as much money as those other ecosystems we're talking about. So yeah, the short answer, yes, there is this normal banking kind of way of assessing startups, which simply doesn't work.
Let's move to another component of entrepreneurship, but one that is at the heart. When I start a business, I want to sell something, either a service or a product. Is it easy to sell in Africa when I am a startup? Is access to market easier than somewhere else? Is it harder? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think if I'm to flip the question just a little bit, I would say, do the entrepreneurs in Africa have enough of a commercial mindset? I mean, usually you start with a great idea that you love, you're so driven, you're so dreamy about, and you spend months and months and months and months, and probably the last thing that some entrepreneurs in the region start thinking about is how to actually commercialize this idea. And that's very dangerous, because the second you start realizing that this actually needs to be commercialized, you start realizing, okay, then I need to educate people in a different way about this product. And that means, different channels of communication. That means that probably a different marketing spend that you did not even account for. That means certain partnerships that, would take a long time to build. And in so many cases that I've seen firsthand, especially in Africa, that delay kills the startup. It's just like starting your fundraising round 6 months later than you should have. It's the exact same thing.
That's one of my failures, actually, so I forgot to mention.
So yeah, that's I mean, you actually start thinking about product market fit. It's just a bit too late, and a bit too late in the life of a startup is sometimes just too late. So I hope that answers your question. That's at least from my perspective.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ali, if you want to add something.
Well, just to add about what Hamza has said, I think we have something that is really important that differentiates us from Asian or American markets. The fact that we have big countries but little volume. In Africa, it's not the same as the European Union. In the European Union, for example, when you start a startup, you have an idea and a project, you are most of the time trying to scale in Europe. This is the first, the first idea. Here, most of the time, we're trying to apply our ideas and projects in a country, which is not sustainable. Apart from Nigeria, maybe Ethiopia, and Democratic Republic of Congo, there are not lots of volume. It's not like Pakistan or India. It's not like the European Union. If we're talking about all the countries in the European Union, it's not like China or the United States. So my opinion is that when we are talking about markets in Africa, we should always think about Africa, or at least a regional part of Africa. And this is very hard to attain because sometimes we don't have, well, we have many, of course, many cultures, but the problem sometimes is more political. We don't have this aggregation of countries. There are the African Western countries and Eastern, but the ties are not as strong to make it possible for someone who is from Morocco to go there and have all the markets to himself. It's very difficult, and this is one of the things. Apart from the fact that most of the time we think about going to markets as the last thing. It should be the first thing, because if we don't have a product market fit, we don't really have a market, we should know it very early so we can pivot. Otherwise, we'll go through a long work of technology, product development, and so on, and at the end of the day, we won't fund the markets.
Thank you. I think one other point that I would add is, especially in the area surrounding Morocco, government plays a big role in economies. And when you're a startup and you want to make it big, one way or another, you find yourself trying to sell to government, or directly or indirectly. And there you find that government does not want to take risks in buying from a startup. And that really limits the market because of the heavy part it plays in the economy. I've seen it play an important failure for many startups. It's definitely something that is specific to Africa. I know I've had startups in the US, and if you want to sell to the government, it's just like selling to a small business. You meet with someone, they like it, they like what you sell, they gather a little commission, they want to buy, they buy. Whether you're a startup or a big corporation makes a difference because they actually are okay and they have quotas to meet in buying from startups. A lot of governments will say, this year I will buy 10% of my purchasing from startups. Let's move to infrastructure. Does infrastructure play a role? Is it a challenge?
Sorry, Khalid, can I just go back for 1 minute
Sure.
about your point earlier? Because I think that's a very important point you raised. In Canada, for example, it's a beautiful example how the government kind of complements the startups or supports the startups. Over there, I would say most of the business to so many startups, especially early stage, is coming from the government. And that comes with the funding to actually be able to deliver on those projects. So it's, it's a full package that's there. And that shows a great example. I've seen it firsthand, I've experienced it myself. And it was just a beautiful example of how the government supported startups early stage and how they actually took them from 0 to 1. Now, in the region, I think one of the problems why this does not happen, although of course, I mean, our favorite thing is to blame the government, but it's, sometimes it's the pattern that we've seen over the years where startups could make commitments that they're unable to deliver on, and that's also a problem. So if you, even if you cannot meet a certain criteria to deliver a project, don't make the commitment to do it, unless you actually know that you will have a backing to be able to deliver on that, because that will put you and other startups at the same risk. But yes, I do agree that governments should be definitely more supportive, and we see great examples of that. At the same time, startups should be aware of what is required to deliver on those projects, because the criteria is usually very demanding, the volumes are high, so if you cannot deliver on it, you are ruining it for yourself and you're ruining it for others. And that's, not a win-win situation at the end of the day.
Thank you for that addition. So let's go back to infrastructure. Would you say infrastructure is a challenge or not? And if yes, how so?
Yes, absolutely. The internet is an important thing for most of our businesses. And obviously having a non-stable or slow internet is very bad for productivity and things like that. I would say even the overall infrastructure, sometimes things like, being able to ship something from abroad, just having that normal logistical infrastructure is very important and can cause a lot of delay and a lot of drops in productivity in many ways.
Maybe I'll just add the fact that infrastructure is a challenge, but it's also an opportunity. Because one of the ways to address the markets is to take into account all the infrastructure problem, and this we will have a real competitive advantage over the big companies out there in Europe. Or, for example, we have experienced this in AgriData because we have a software which is not SaaS-based, cloud-based. It can be, but then taking into account the fact that there is no connection, you cannot find the connectivity in farms and so on. So somehow it's part of your competitive advantage to take into account all the infrastructure challenges. But of course, it's a big challenge when you want to sell abroad, when you want to bring things from abroad. It's a real challenge.
I think that's a great point that Mohsen mentioned at the end, because I've also seen that firsthand with the example of Netflix when they went into the region for the first time. So, they were at a conference and made an announcement. They were so happy we're actually launching in Lebanon our 4K, edition. And people started laughing. The network over there is so damaged, is so weak that it couldn't even sustain that. So it doesn't matter if you're providing that luxurious feature, people cannot afford it. It's not there in the system. And I completely agree with Mohsen. The know-how of the local market could definitely make or break a startup, and that's an opportunity when it comes to infrastructure. If you know how to tackle it, if you know how to go about sort of tailoring your product one way or another to either adapt to the existing structure that other international companies might not be even aware of, or they don't want to kind of downgrade the service, but you're still willing to do it, that's amazing. That's one way to actually dominate the market very fast just because of the local know-how. So I could not agree more. I think that's a very important point, yes.
Thank you. So if you allow me, let's, enough talking about the problems. How about moving to solutions? When we met right before this panel, it was very easy for us to talk about the problems. We all mentioned the same points. It was a little harder talking about solutions. Ali mentioned something, you mentioned something you guys just did in Egypt. Can you talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, a group of us in the Egyptian startup ecosystem decided to try to work collectively on meeting some of our challenges. We launched something called the Egypt Startup Manifesto, Startup Ecosystem Manifesto. We actually launched it on the 4th of December, so just the day before I traveled here. And it's basically a collective action by the whole ecosystem. Any startup can take part, where we're supporting each other. We've created a whole document on different areas that we want to tackle that include the ones we mentioned here, human resources, financial capital, PR even, that's something that wasn't mentioned here, legal infrastructure, etc. So in legal, we've worked out what are the things we want to do, and we've created like a working lobbying group, you could call us. We've also involved the government in the ecosystem manifesto project from the beginning, government representatives that is, so that we get their insight and their feedback as we were working. In capital, we have certain initiatives we're working on in human resources, in all these areas, in PR. So I think having collective action is very useful. No one startup can probably change an ecosystem, and actually time will change many things as well, because some things will have to just take time. We will have to take the time to have enough exits, so that these exits create enough, angel investors and entrepreneurs who create other businesses, etc. So there are things that will take time. What we're trying to do is to support the other things that are not just about time, and to accelerate the things that take time. So if we want startups that exit, maybe we should all be supporting each other. So as a startup ecosystem, we're starting to use and share, more our own services. So if the government is not going to, sign contracts with us, our partner from another startup might use our service. So we all use a local hiring startup when we're hiring people. We all order food from a certain startup, etc. So we're trying to use more of our own stuff and support each other that way.
That's great. So you're basically saying if you won't help us, we'll help ourselves and each other.
Exactly.
Excellent, excellent. And what's the name of the initiative?
Yeah, it's the Egypt Startup Ecosystem Manifesto.
Excellent, thank you. So solutions, we talked about the problems. What are the solutions? Anyone has anything to add on that?
I keep going back to the talent and culture, because this is one of my serious pain points in the region in general. And I would say one of the ways to actually tackle that as a solution is similar to what we've done. We're an international company. We could have stayed in Sweden forever, and we would be able to do business very easily in the region. We don't need to really be on the ground. But we have chosen the harder path. We have chosen to expand internationally with local offices. I cannot tell you how difficult it is to actually recruit. We do hundreds of interviews on a weekly basis, and sometimes we don't even fill the role for months. That's definitely a lot of delay. But what we're starting to realize again is that if those international companies with a vision for the region, who are willing to take some risk in being there and nurturing the local talent and working with them hand in hand, with time that creates a great success story. And with time that also increases the talent pool available for other startups locally who could source those, source that talent and help them build their own startups. We're talking about, for example, creating a development hub in Cairo or in Ramallah, for example, in Palestine. For Ramallah, for example, that was a major challenge. Why? Because there aren't a lot of them, but once you create a pool of, say, 5 or 6 product managers, that's a gold mine for a lot of startups that are, coming up to actually source and steal as CTOs and early stage and help build. Why? Because they absorb the culture internationally, they worked regionally, they have the tech know-how, so on and so forth. So I would say international companies need to take the risk, and they, honestly, the last thing on our mind during that time was needing government support. At the end of the day, we go through the same red lines. Whatever it takes. It's not going to be easy at the beginning, but the work that, Ali, for example, and the initiative they're doing, that's amazing. That's really, really good, and I'm sure that we will reap the rewards very soon. But until then, work should not stop. Until then, facing those challenges should not stop. Because I think, the reward at the end of the day, inshallah, will be worth it.
Thank you. Si Mahsin?
Well, we have been complaining a lot till now. So now we have to talk about solutions. Actually, it's very difficult to talk about solutions in you know, for everyone by himself. And actually, I cannot agree more about what Ali said, which is to build on collaborative intelligence. I think we have good opportunities. The Egypt Startup Manifesto, I think there is something similar in Tunisia, which is the StartUP Act. With Naufal, somehow we started at the beginning of the year a platform, but I think we have to go back to it. I think there are other stakeholders that are working on things like that. This is very important because you have in it the legal, the tax framework, but also you have all the you know, you pave the way for better relationship, better trust between startups, big companies in private sector, but also with government agencies. Second one, I think this is very important because we have been talking about mindsets. We have to work, all of us, on the awareness. We have to work with young people, we have to work with startup founders, we have to work with engineers, we have to work with marketers. Everybody should know what's needed, what's the challenges, what's the solutions, how we can work on them. Sometimes there are very easy solutions to put forward. For example, I know that some startups could have a packaged product offering, which enable them to access to markets, either locally but also more globally. This could be also a thing that we can build on collaborative intelligence. Another thing which is very important is lobbying, because governments, you know, either for startups or for other areas, if you don't do lobbying, they won't give you any solutions, they won't give you any advantages. So it's very important to be in this combat, you know, like mindsets, because it's very important to have the rights to be there. Last but not least, I think funding is also important. So we have to be more. I have done an exit myself, and now I'm trying to do this work of investing in some new startups. So I try to do this, but not everybody is aware that there are startups there. So we have to share all the knowledge that we have. I think events like this are part also of the solution. So I thank very much all the people that are behind the Startup Morocco, but also Anima and all the people behind these events, because I think this is very important to build an awareness, but also to build a mindset for success for startups in Africa.
Thank you, guys. I think we're coming to the end of the allocated timeline. So let me try to recap what we've talked about. We're obviously in a nascent ecosystem. We're in the first baby steps, so there is a lot to do. And we've talked about the issues and the potential solutions. The challenges, as we talked about, are people, legal, capital, payment, mindset, or at least include those, and to solve those, and infrastructure, and to solve those, it's all about, you know, helping the baby step so the baby can become an adult, a self-sustaining adult. And so it's about maintaining the path to pave the way, working together, supporting each other, and building success stories so that it can be emulated all around the continent. And I think, go ahead, Mahsin, you want to add something?
I want to add something very important. We shouldn't be in a mindset of copy and paste from the United States, UK, or European Union. We have a local context, which is, you know, we know it. The problems that are in there are not the same as the problems we have here. We have also some very interesting entrepreneurship models here in Morocco, in Africa, and in all our countries. I always give the example of farmers. Farming is very smart, very intelligent. The model itself, we can, you know, we can work on it so that we can, you know, use it in other when we talk about craftsmanship, artisanal, it's a very interesting model. You know, a craftsman, every 5 years, he brings out 5 to 6 entrepreneurs. So the idea is how we can leverage all this ancestral knowledge, all the local problems, the context, in order to build something different, something successful and something unique. And I think we have all the ingredients to do so. We have just to trust ourselves, to trust our capacity, and we can not just learn from the US, but we can teach the world how entrepreneurship could be in Africa.
Excellent. Thank you for those closing thoughts. With that, I thank my co-panelists, I thank the organizers, and thank you for being here. Have a nice evening.
Alors, pour la dernière présentation, je profite de l'occasion d'inviter ma collègue d'Anima, Raphaël, pour faire une petite présentation qu'on est en train de chercher sur la régie technique. Et je te donne la parole.
Hi everyone. I have the difficult task to wrap up the day. I promise it's gonna be very short because I know it's been a long day. I congratulate you for staying the whole day and listening to all these interesting conversations. So actually we're here today for the StartUP Africa Summit, which was a 3-day event. It was just not only today, but we have 2 days, yesterday and the day before. Thank you. The 2 previous days were boot camps for startups. We had entrepreneurs from the Moroccan diaspora, entrepreneurs from Morocco, and others coming from 6 countries of the Mediterranean regions as part of the Next Society initiative. So what I'm going to do is to just say a few words very quick about the Next Society, what it is, what we do, and the next steps. So we said a few words about the Next Society as an introduction this morning, but basically it's an initiative that supports innovation ecosystems in the Mediterranean region in 7 countries. So Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Egypt, Palestine, Jordan, and Lebanon. We have policy framework and we implement 3 booster tracks. What we call booster tracks are actually programs with services to support startups, clusters, and technology transfer offices. So far, today is actually let's say the last event of this year, which was the first year where we had activities for startups, clusters, and TTOs. And so we had the first promotion of startups, which was 44 startups who participated in the activities that you can see here on the screen. They went to Big Booster in Lyon. We had 7 startups. We have 9 entrepreneurs that are currently in the process of being mentored. We had 21 startups who went to an innovator academy, 12 to soft landings. I'm going to go back to each activity to explain you what it means exactly. Meetings with investors and the bootcamp, so the last 2 days and today. And so we have also services for clusters. We have 26 clusters selected in our booster track, and they went through a diagnostic phase, and They attended benchmarking, what we call benchmarking visit and training in Barcelona. So they went there for 5 days, and they met other clusters. They've been trained. They could create cooperations, opportunities, etc. And we have also these services for TTOs. But because we're here to talk about entrepreneurship and startups, I'm just going to focus more on the Startup Booster track. So these are the Next Society partners. We have partners in Europe and in the Mediterranean region. And this is quite a big consortium, and we're working all together to implement the activity that I'm going to introduce you. And StartUP Morocco is the partner here in Morocco. So basically, what is the Startup Booster Track? It's a flexible support program for entrepreneurs in the MENA region. And the goal of the Booster Track is to help them develop their business and go international and meet other entrepreneurs, meet investors, etc. So this is just a glimpse of the first promotion of startups. As I told you before, we had 44. So this is just like 20 of them from the 7 countries that I mentioned earlier. And these startups attended the last 2 days for the boot camps. So the activity that we have an Innovators Academy, which is actually a venture workshop and IP training. This is like a 3-day event where they are trained about issues like intellectual property, and they are trained to pitch their project in front of investors. We have International Acceleration Bootcamp. This is what we did for the last 2 days. This bootcamp focused on Africa, and we will have another bootcamp next year in Beirut that will focus more on the Middle East markets. We have a mentoring program, so this is a 1-year program where we match entrepreneurs with mentors, and they have a mentoring program for a year. So this is more individual feedback to help you grow your business as well. We have the soft landing activity, which is a 3-day full immersion in an innovation hub in Europe. So the entrepreneur chooses the country and the hub where they want to go, and they spend 3 days to have this full experience in Europe. So we had people going to Spain, going to France, the UK, the Netherlands, etc. We have our international market mission, which are actually, we have a delegation of startups and clusters that we bring to international conferences in Europe. We had 16 startups who went to the Web Summit in Lisbon at the end of November, and next year we will have another delegation going to Vivatech in Paris, Innovative City in Nice. We will have a delegation going to Spain, etc. And we have the power meetings, which are also very important because we choose the most investment-ready startups, and we organize a meeting, a half-day meeting with investors, mainly business angels, to raise funds. So we really train them and accompany them throughout the process of meeting the investors and raising funds. So this is actually the whole Startup Booster track. And so we finished the first year with the first promotion that was selected. And we just selected another promotion of startups from the 7 countries. And they will go through the same process to help them, like I said, grow their business, create corporations, raise funds, etc. Oops. So this is a focus on Morocco, specifically because we are here today. We organized one elevator roadshow where we had 9 startups who came to pitch their projects in front of us. And we had 8 clusters from Morocco who were diagnosed by an expert from France Cluster, who is our partner in France. We had 2 policy panels, a workshop on technology transfer offices, 1 innovator academy in Milan where we had 3 startups from Morocco. 4 Moroccan startups went to the Web Summit in Lisbon that I mentioned earlier. For the mentoring program, we had 1 mentoring awareness session, which is actually a session open to all, to raise awareness about what mentoring is. And we had 1 leader mentor training, which is actually a workshop, a 1-day workshop to train future mentors. And so 12 future mentors, and then we will have in March the matchmaking between mentees and mentors. We had 2 Moroccan clusters went through benchmarking visit and training in Barcelona at the end of November. So they met their Catalan counterparts and also other clusters from the rest of the countries of the program. And we had 1 Moroccan startup at the Power Meeting, which was Moldiag. At the Power Meeting with investors that were organized in Marseille at the end of November as well. It was kind of a big event with lots of business angels. So it was a great opportunity for them to meet investors and raise funds. So that's it. I think I was quite short. So I hope you enjoyed the day and that you found the conversation very interesting and that you learned a lot. And again, I thank you for staying this late because I know the day was quite long. I think StartUP Morocco wants to say a word to wrap up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rafael. So just to close the day, thank you so much for everyone who came here. Thank you so much for our partner and co-organizer Anima Investment Network. It was really great experience. Hope you enjoy your day, you enjoy the bootcamp, and see you in the next year edition, inshallah. Okay.